Chapter 1120. Shi Shang was such a troublemaker that Zhou Ning could not do anything about it. The other party suddenly did not care about what he thought was useful. What else could he do? And Qi, what do you know? Tell brother Zhou. Otherwise, more people will die. Su Lu suddenly turned into a caring sister. Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Hundreds of people die every day. If you're so powerful, why don't you save them? I can't even protect myself. How can I save people? Why doesn't anyone save I? Su Lu felt that after talking to this woman, she did not want to talk to her again for the rest of her life. Su Lu took a deep breath. You can't say that. When it's within our power, saving a life is a great merit. Shi Shang suddenly sneered. His laughter made Su Li's heart tremble. The color on her face gradually faded. She said she would not tell anyone. She was sick. Even if she told anyone, who would believe her? Then, when you lured the murderer into my room, how could you forget this sentence? Huh? Her voice was neither soft nor heavy. It was not a question or a question. It was a very calm statement. What murderer? What murderer? The first question was asked by Mu Li. The second question was asked by Zhou Ning. The former's face was full of anger and was frighteningly gloomy. The latter's face was full of doubt and seriousness. Su Li's heart pounded wildly. Her eyes were filled with emotions. She opened her mouth. And Qi, what are you talking about? When did I lead the murderer to your room? Did you remember wrongly? The smile on Shi Shang's face made Su Lu even more nervous. A chill ran down her spine. Su Lu clutched the corner of her shirt tightly. She had already thought of a way to delete the surveillance footage. She had no evidence. Shi Shang did not answer that question. Instead, he asked another question. I'm curious. Why were you still outside in the middle of the night? You even met the murderer? Are you in cahoots with the murderer? It was not too late at that time. After all, there were so many doctors and nurses around. However, it was not too early either. All the patients had returned to their rooms. What was Su Lu doing outside? Su Lu immediately jumped up and retorted, And Qi, don't talk nonsense. How could she be in cahoots with the murderer? Su Lu noticed that there was something wrong with Zhou Ning's gaze and realized that she had lost her composure. She quickly added, I don't understand what she's saying. Su Lu wanted to defend herself, but when she met Shi Shang's eyes, she felt as if she had been stripped naked and was standing naked in front of him. Xiao Lu? Zhou Ning called out in a deep voice. Su Lu quickly shook his head and tried his best to remain calm. I really don't know what she's talking about, and I don't know why she said that. Su Li's words were just short of saying that she was a lunatic. Could her words be trusted? As the male lead, how can you not believe me? According to the normal routine, male lead Darren would definitely believe female lead Darren. Sure enough, Zhou Ning patted Su Li's hand. There was no point in continuing the conversation. That lunatic would not answer any of his questions. His words were always sarcastic, which made people feel very uncomfortable. Zhou Ning thought for a moment and looked at Mu Li. Dr. Mu, I'll come back another day. Mu Li's face had been gloomy since just now. He ignored Zhou Ning when he spoke to him. Zhou Ning looked at Shi Shang deeply. If you change your mind, you can give me a call. Shi Shang rolled his eyes at him. He would not change his mind. Solving the case was the police's job. It had nothing to do with him. Zhou Ning ignored Shi Shang's eyes and pulled Su Lu out. Let's go. Su Lu couldn't wait to leave this place. The two people in front of her made her breathless. Zhou Ning left with Su Lu, leaving only Shi Shang and Mu Li behind. Mu Li looked at her through his glasses and said in a low voice, I'll send you back. Didn't you ask me to see Zhou Ning? Why are you stopping him from taking me away now? What was this lunatic up to? Mu Li clenched his hands in his pockets and looked straight at Shi Shang. He said word by word, I asked him to see you, not take you away. He paused for a moment. What murderer did you just say? Does it have anything to do with you? Shi Shang snorted and walked around Mu Li. Why did she have to come out and make trouble for I? Mu Li watched her leave in silence. He didn't take out his hand until her figure disappeared. He slowly opened his palm and looked at it. His palm was pale. There was some progress in Zhou Ning's case after that. They had a new suspect. Zhou Ning had always felt that Shi Shang must know something, but now that a new suspect had appeared, he had no time to waste on Shi Shang, so he could only shift his attention to the new suspect. Stop right there. No, I'm not sick. I'm not eating. Shi Shang's door was open. A patient suddenly ran in, followed by a caregiver. Deng Jun noticed that something was wrong and rushed in. Why did he run out of the room? The caregiver was angry. He didn't want to eat. He ran out of the room when I wasn't paying attention. Hey, give me a hand and take him back. He's so annoying. Deng Jun glanced at Shi Shang. The latter was leaning against the window and looking at them coldly. He didn't react at all, like a statue. Deng Jun turned his head and called the caregiver. Come on, take him back. If they provoked the latter, they wouldn't be able to clean up the mess. I'm not taking the medicine. I'm not sick. Let me go. I'm not sick. Don't touch me. I'm not sick. You bad guys. I'm not going back. I'm not sick. I'm not taking the medicine. Deng Jun and the caregiver worked together to take the patient out. The patient struggled so hard that he took out a bottle of medicine from the caregiver's pocket. The caregiver didn't seem to notice. The medicine bottle rolled on the ground and finally rolled under the table. The patient and the caregiver quickly left. Shi Shang walked to the table and bent down to pick up the medicine bottle. It was similar to the bottles in the hands of the two doctors last time. It was written in English and called Neurology Medicine. There was no logo on the bottle. How could medicine without a logo be in the hospital? Unless it was the hospital's own. Shi Shang put the medicine bottle back into the space, walked back to the window and stood in the same position. As soon as she stood up, the caregiver ran back and hurriedly searched the floor. And Chi, did you see a medicine bottle? The caregiver didn't find it, so she looked up and asked Shi Shang. I don't have time to look for your medicine bottle. I'm very busy. The caregiver was speechless. Why are you standing there? Okay, you're acting up again. ## today's honeysuckle flavored vote ## monthly vote ## hurry up and check if you have any monthly votes in your pockets. Vote. Chapter 11:21. Shi Shang took the opportunity to go to the 8th floor again. The place she had entered last time had been sealed, but the entire 8th floor was empty. There was nothing. Even the patient who had stayed in the ward last time was gone. It made sense. They would be stupid if they didn't move. Shi Shang recalled the voice she had heard last time. She had observed all the doctors in the hospital recently and soon found a suitable one. Shi Shang sneaked out again in the dark. Coincidentally, the doctor was on duty today. Shi Shang climbed to the building he was on duty and swaggered in through the front door. The system would help her deal with the surveillance cameras. In the on-call room, Shi Shang looked at the words on the screen and pushed the door open. Yes. Don't stop, Shi Shang. Had she entered the duty room or some kind of unspeakable place? Didn't she know how to lock the door? Wasn't she afraid of someone suddenly coming in? The lights in the on-call room were dim. Shi Shang could only vaguely see 2 large lumps on the desk. The entire room was filled with that smell. Perhaps the two were too engrossed in their work and didn't notice that the door was open. When the door was fully opened, the person on the other side was startled. Who is it? The two hurriedly covered their bodies with their clothes. The doctor was braver. Who are you? No one responded. There was obviously someone standing at the door. Dr. Zhang, could it be a ghost? The nurse who was still sitting in the office took the doctor's hand and asked in a trembling voice. What nonsense are you talking about? Dr. Zhang scolded and put on his clothes hastily. He and the nurse were the only ones on duty today. Who was standing at the door? Dr. Zhang put on his pants. The person on the other side didn't respond. He took his belt and walked to the side to turn on the lights. The incandescent light flickered twice and the on-call room lit up. The doctor saw the person standing at the door clearly. Dr. Zhang's eyes widened in surprise. It's you. It wasn't she. Why are you here? She should be in the inpatient department. Why was she here? What were the people in the inpatient department doing? Shang entered, closed the door, and locked it. He cracked a smile and said, Dr. Zhang, I have something to ask you. Dr. Zhang's expression suddenly froze. Why did he suddenly feel that the surrounding temperature had dropped? Dr. Zhang shuddered and snapped back to reality. He scolded, How did you get here? There were people guarding the inpatient department 24/7, so it was impossible for her to come here. That's not important. Sheng waved his hand. What we need to talk about now is, do you want to answer my question, or do you want to die? Dr. Zhang's eyes widened slightly. That's not important. You ran out of the inpatient department. How dare he threaten him? How bold of him. On second thought, she was a lunatic. How could she believe her words? He quickly rummaged through the table and finally found his phone under the nurse's butt. Ignoring the strange liquid on it, he quickly dialed the number. However, there was no signal on the phone, so he couldn't make the call at all. Dr. Zhang felt a chill in his heart. He reached for the landline on the table, but the landline also couldn't make the call. There's one last way to call for help. Dr. Zhang, do you want to make the call? The girl's clear voice echoed in the room. It was a very pleasant voice, but when it fell into Dr. Zhang's ears, it was as if layers of ice had formed on his skin. Dr. Zhang slowly put down the phone. What do you want? Shang pulled out a chair and sat on it. He crossed his legs and looked at him. Don't be nervous. I just want to ask you a few questions. What do you want to ask? Dr. Zhang tugged at his clothes and moved closer to the table. Dr. Zhang, you'd better not move. Otherwise, I can't be sure if my hand won't slip and kill you. You only have one life. Of course, the choice is yours. If you want to die, I can't stop you, right? Dr. Zhang froze on the spot. He turned his neck mechanically and looked at the girl who was sitting there without a care for her image. Some people were born with a kind of aura. They didn't need to do anything. Just sitting there they could make people afraid. Dr. Zhang had felt it on Mu Li before. He didn't expect to feel it on another patient not long after. It was fine if it was a normal person, but she was a psychopath. How could a psychopath have such a strong aura? Dr. Zhang weighed the pros and cons and finally decided to pounce on the table. The nurse was already standing in the corner, covering her mouth and looking at the situation in front of her in horror. Dr. Zhang opened the bottom drawer and rummaged through it. Then, he pointed the black muzzle at Sheng. Dr. Zhang felt as if he had found a safe refuge after getting the gun. He heaved a sigh of relief. Who brought you here? He didn't believe that a psychopath like her could come here from the inpatient department. Was it Mu Li? It's none of his business. Sheng rolled his eyes. There were always perverts who wanted to steal the credit from I. Dr. Zhang threatened, and Qi, if I pull the trigger, you'll die. You'd better tell me who brought you here. Where is he? Sheng didn't think much of it. Then shoot. Dr. Zhang tightened his grip on the gun and took a few steps toward Sheng. Do you think I don't dare? Sheng continued to roll his eyes. I didn't say you don't dare. I told you to shoot. I didn't mean anything else. I meant it literally. Why do you have to think so much? Can you hurry up? It's my turn after you're done acting cool. You're so slow. Serves you right for being cannon fodder. Dr. Zhang was tired of encountering such a fearless and provocative person. This girl didn't follow the normal route. He didn't know how to react. Should he fire the gun or not? Just as Dr. Zhang was hesitating, the girl in front of him suddenly stood up. Dr. Zhang was so scared that he trembled and pulled the trigger. There was a silencer on the gun. The bullet shot out silently and went straight for Shi Shang. Shi Shang calmly drew his iron sword and blocked the bullet with it. The bullet hit the sword and bounced back with a clang. Dr. Zhang stared at the iron sword in Shi Shang's hand with wide eyes. The sword had appeared out of thin air just now. Where did she get the sword from? Was it magic? Oh, she's dead. The girl's crisp voice pulled Dr. Zhang back to reality. He glanced at the nurse's station from the corner of his eye. The nurse who was standing just a moment ago had fallen to the ground. Her eyes were wide open, and she looked like she had died with a grievance. There were obvious bullet marks between the nurse's eyebrows. The bullet had hit her. Shi Shang held the sword and laughed gloatingly. You were the one who shot her. I was just defending myself. Dr. Zhang turned around and saw a smiling face. How could she laugh when she was already dead? She was crazy. No, she was a crazy person to begin with. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Dr. Zhang, why am I so unlucky? There are so many people out there. Why did she come to me? Little fairy, because she's heard your voice before. Dr. Zhang, is it my fault? Little fairy, otherwise, is it still mine? Dr. Zhang, don't you want the ticket? Little fairy, you don't have it. Dr. Zhang, how dare you discriminate against me? Little fairy, you don't have it. Dr. Zhang. Chapter 11:22. And Qi, let go of me. What do you want? Dr. Zhang was tied up and thrown in the middle of the on-call room. He struggled and glared at Shi Shang. This lunatic, swish. The iron sword drew an arc in the air. A cold light flashed in Dr. Zhang's eyes. The next moment, he saw the iron sword stuck in the ground in front of him. He didn't know how she took the sword out, but as a doctor who grew up under the influence of science, he was more inclined to believe that she hid the sword somewhere and didn't make it appear out of thin air. Weren't there many props on the market? Although the sword looked cold and threatening and didn't look like a prop, Dr. Zhang could only comfort himself that it was a fake. When a person was unwilling to believe something, they would try their best to tell themselves that it was fake, that it was all fake. Dr. Zhang, I've given you a chance. You didn't run away. So, now, answer my question. I don't know. I don't know anything. Dr. Zhang roared angrily. Shi Shang twirled the iron sword. The cold light reflected from the sword flashed in the room. I haven't asked you yet. How do you know that you don't know? Dr. Zhang gritted his teeth. No matter what you want to ask, I don't know. It seems that Dr. Zhang doesn't want to live anymore. Shi Shang's voice suddenly sank. The iron sword was pressed against Dr. Zhang's neck. Why don't I send Dr. Zhang down now to talk about life with the person next to you? Dr. Zhang's face turned pale. He didn't want to die. Shi Shang pressed the iron sword down and asked, Where did the people on the 8th floor go? Dr. Zhang was most afraid that she would ask this question. Now that she asked this question, he felt relieved. I don't know. It's not my responsibility. What are they doing on the 8th floor? I don't know. Shi Shang interrupted Dr. Zhang. Dr. Zhang, answer me carefully. This sword hasn't seen blood for a long time. Dr. Zhang's entire body was trembling. The cold air emitted by the sword was constantly rushing into his body. He felt as if he was sitting on an Antarctic glacier, and he was even naked. He panted heavily, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Just now, the nurse had died in front of her, but she did not feel any psychological burden because of the dead person. She even smiled and threatened him. The evaluation in the file said that if she committed a crime, she would definitely be a very difficult criminal. In the end, Dr. Zhang gritted his teeth and denied, I don't know. As soon as he finished speaking, the iron sword on his neck sank a little deeper, and he seemed to hear the sound of the blade cutting through his skin. However, he knew that it was an illusion. When the sword slit his neck, there was no sound at all. The pain seemed to have been slowed down for half a minute. Only when the blood flowed out did he feel the pain. The warm liquid flowed down his neck and instantly turned cold. Stop. I'll talk, I'll talk. Dr. Zhang suddenly panicked. He didn't want to die, Dr. Zhang said. 8th floor. After Dr. Zhang finished speaking, he carefully looked at the girl sitting opposite him. That's all I know. I don't know anything else. Shi Shang did not respond for a long time. Even Dr. Zhang did not dare to breathe loudly. He was afraid that if he breathed out too much, his neck would be cut off. After a while, Shi Shang withdrew the sword and slowly spat out 2 words, beast. Dr. Zhang did not dare to speak. He was only doing this for the money. He was not the real mastermind behind this. He reached out to his neck to stop the bleeding. If this continued, he would bleed to death. I've said everything I wanted to say. Can I leave now? Shi Shang raised his chin and said, write down the name list. Write down all the information clearly. But if he betrayed them, would he still be alive? Shi Shang seemed to know what Dr. Zhang was thinking. He sneered and said, you might not even be alive now. Even if I don't kill you, do you think they will let you live after knowing that you told me about this? You've already betrayed them. You don't mind betraying them even more. You forced me to do this. Shi Shang shrugged and said, it doesn't matter whether I forced you or not. This is the result. Do you think those crazy people will care about the process? Dr. Zhang's face was pale. His forehead was covered with cold sweat. She was right. If they knew that he had betrayed them, they would never let him go. Not only him, but also his family. Shi Shang gave Dr. Zhang enough time to think. After a while he said, can you promise that you won't tell anyone? No. Dr. Zhang's eyes widened. Then why should I? Swish. Shi Shang laughed arrogantly and confidently. Do you have any other choice? Dr. Zhang wrote down a list of names resignedly. This is what I know. I haven't seen many of them. Even if I have seen some of them, I don't know them. Shi Shang took the list and glanced at it. The 8th floor is now abandoned. Where did they transfer the patients? Dr. Zhang had already lowered his resistance. There's a laboratory building behind the hospital that is about to be demolished. Last time, a patient ran away from the 7th floor. Where did you lock him up after you caught him? What's his name? Dr. Zhang seemed to be trying to recall. That. I don't know. I only saw him once. After that, he was taken away. I don't know where he went. Shi Shang frowned. After thinking for a few seconds, he stood up with the help of his sword. Last question. Who am I? Dr. Zhang hesitated. And Qi. Shi Shang repeated. Who was I before I came here? He was asking about her background. Dr. Zhang was considered an old employee of the hospital. He knew a lot. When she was sent here, he was still by her side. Who would have thought that a day like this would come? Dr. Zhang composed himself and shook his head. The person who sent you here left after dropping you off. Your file is also blank. However, you have a large sum of money in your bank account. We were afraid that there would be problems, so we didn't touch you. So no one knows where I came from? Not really. Dr. Zhang swallowed. The doctor who received you back then was Professor Hu Shu. He talked to the person who sent you here. He should know something. Where is he? He's retired. Shi Shang thought for a while. She didn't have any more questions to ask. She took her sword and walked out. About what happened today? She paused, turned around and grinned. You can tell whoever you want. I wasn't afraid. Dr. Zhang was dumbfounded. Shouldn't she threaten him not to tell anyone? Why would he say such a thing? This didn't make sense. Bang! The door of the on-call room was slammed shut. The entire room fell into a dead silence. Asterisk, I might have a bunch of fake cherub. What happened to loving me until the end of our lives? We promised to look at the stars and moon together, talk about our dreams and life together, and kiss and touch each other. Where are you guys? Flips table. Go to bed and sleep. Chapter 11:23. Shi Shang walked down from the building. She stood at the entrance and suddenly thought of the dead body. Dr. Zhang, that idiot, should know how to deal with it, right? That idiot had died a horrible death. She just didn't know how he would deal with it. Should she call the police? Shi Shang searched her pockets but found nothing. She didn't have her phone. Forget it, she should go back to sleep. Shi Shang walked back to the house unhurriedly. She didn't know when the night wind started blowing, but the plants around her were rustling. Da-da-da. The sound of footsteps, accompanied by heavy breathing, came closer and closer. A figure was running towards her. He looked panicked, as if something was chasing after him. Shi Shang quickly hid in the dark. A white figure was walking slowly toward them from afar. His pace was neither fast nor slow, as if he was taking a stroll in the garden. It was a stark contrast to the person running in front of him. As the white figure got closer, Shi Shang saw his face clearly. Mu Li, ah. Police, there's a psychopath here. The person in front of him tripped and fell to the ground. He didn't get up for a long time. Mu Li was already in front of him. He looked down at the person. He wasn't wearing his glasses. It was so long ago. I really don't remember. Let me go. Please let me go. The person cried and begged for mercy. He was very scared. Mu Li didn't say anything. He just looked at him quietly. The night wind fluttered his white coat. It fluttered in the air and then calmed down. Please let me go. I beg you. I don't want to die. Please. Mu Li bent down slightly and whispered something in the person's ear. The person was terrified. The next second, his face turned pale and his body trembled like a sieve. Mu Li fed him something. He suddenly struggled violently and was finally pinned to the ground by Mu Li. The person stopped moving quickly. Mu Li released him and stood up slowly. Shi Shang was speechless. What a coincidence. No, I didn't kill anyone. It was self-defense. Shi Shang looked at Mu Li again. There was only a body lying on the ground. Mu Li was gone. What the F***CK? Can this psychopath fly? He disappeared in the blink of an eye. What are you doing here? A cold voice suddenly sounded from behind the Shi Shang, and a burst of cold air came from behind. Shi Shang froze for a moment before turning around calmly. Dr. Mu, what a coincidence. You've killed people too? Mu Li had already put on his glasses, and his eyes narrowed. Did you kill someone? No, I was just defending myself. Dr. Zhang was the one who fired the shot. She was just blocking it for a moment. Who asked that nurse to be so unlucky to be standing there? Anyway, she wasn't going to take the blame. Even if it was her fault, she would not take the blame. That was how willful she was. Have you disposed of the body? Shi Shang. Your reaction is a little strange. Mu Li didn't get an answer, so he asked again, have you cleaned it up? No. Shi Shang opened her mouth. There was still a living person around. What was she going to do? Mu Li adjusted his glasses and pondered for a moment. Take me there. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. You haven't even dealt with your own body, and you still have the time to care about me? Mu Li glanced over. There's no need. He died of a heart attack. It has nothing to do with me. Shi Shang. Maybe I have an unrealistic guess. Mu Li looked away and looked at her through his glasses. Who did you kill? Where is the body? I don't know. Shi Shang smiled. Dr. Mu, are you going to help me dispose of the body? Mu Li didn't answer. Instead, he repeated his previous question. Where is the body? Shi Shang pointed at a building in the distance. Dr. Zhang's on-call room. Go back to the ward. Mu Li left this sentence, walked around Shi Shang and headed towards the building. Shi Shang put his hands on his hips and pouted. He then chased after Mu Li. Dr. Mu, are you going to help me dispose of the body? Mu Li stopped abruptly. He seemed a little angry. He lowered his voice and said, "And Chi, go back. Let me ask you a question. I'll go back if you answer me. Mu Li took a deep breath. Go ahead. On May 19th, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, did you come to the ward where I was hospitalized? Yes, Mu Li answered quickly. Now, go back. Shishang. F***CK your retarded system. She had thought that the man was Feng Ci when he rushed down the stairs and the system had given her a mission. Host, that was just a coincidence. They appeared at the same time. It's not my fault. Don't push all the blame onto me. The system has a temper too. Shishang was furious. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to sense his presence. Would I have to rely on my intuition to identify him? It didn't cause any trouble. Shishang took a deep breath. He didn't want to argue with the retard. He would deal with it slowly after he cracked the program left behind by his retarded master. Shishang looked at Mu Li. Someone will dispose of the body. You don't have to go. Mu Li frowned. He felt a little strange. It had only been a few minutes. Why did she seem like a different person? It seemed like she was less guarded against him. Dr. Mu, take me back to the ward. I'm still. Mu Li's voice trailed off. He glanced at the building. Let's go. There was still a long way to the inpatient ward. Mu Li walked on Shishang's left. Shishang walked slowly, so Mu Li followed him. Shishang thought for a moment. Dr. Mu, I killed someone. Don't you have any other thoughts? His behavior just now was really strange. What thoughts? Mu Li's voice was very calm. How would I know what thoughts you have? Shishang didn't ask any more questions. Mu Li didn't speak either. As they approached the inpatient ward, Mu Li suddenly said, "And Qi?" Yes. Mu Li paused and asked her, Do you want to leave? Why? Do you want to get me out? I can do that if you want. Dr. Mu, have you forgotten that I don't know anything? I don't even have an ID. How can I live outside? Or? Shishang turned his head. Dr. Mu, are you willing to take me in? Mu Li's hands tightened in his pockets. He lowered his eyes. I'll arrange a new identity for you. Don't worry. You're not going to take me in. Why should I leave? Shishang snorted. I'm going back. Shishang strode towards the building and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Mu Li stood there for a long time. He took out his phone and dialed a number. Get rid of the surveillance footage. Mu Li was about to hang up when the other party hurriedly said, Wait, Brother Mu. There's something I need to tell you. Speak. You weren't in the footage you were in just now. What do you mean? Mu Li frowned. I mean, someone has already tampered with the footage without my knowledge. There's no trace. Brother Mu, I'm worried. Chapter 11:24. Shishang did not hear anything about the death of a doctor in the hospital the next day. The nurses did not seem to know anything about it. It seemed that these people did not know that a doctor had died. When Mu Li came to check on her in the afternoon, Shishang was still lying on the bed. Get up. Mu Li stood by the bed and looked down at her. Shishang rolled his eyes and looked behind him. I don't want to see these unruly people. The group of unruly nurses were speechless. How did they become unruly people? Mu Li stared at Shishang for a few seconds and turned around. You can leave now. Mu Li appeared very gentle and refined in front of outsiders, but if one listened carefully, one would realize that there was no warmth in his voice at all. After Mu Li's people left, Shishang stretched out his hand. Give me a hand. Mu Li reached out to hold her hand gently. And Qi, think about it. I'll take you out of here. I'm sick. Why should I leave? Mu Li withdrew his hand and put it back in his pocket. You've recovered, he said slowly. Why do you have to take me out? Shishang looked at him sideways. Am I interfering with your plan? Mu Li remained silent. He looked away. I'll take you out in 3 days. It was a question, but now it was a conclusion. Dr. Mu, I was an eyewitness last night. If you dare do anything, I'll tell the police about it. Muli glanced at her from the corner of his eye. They won't believe you. Shishang smiled smugly. I'm sorry, but I've backed up the surveillance footage. Muli was speechless. Although Muli had guessed that it was her, he was still very surprised when he actually heard it. Dr. Mu, you have your own things to do, and so do I. Let's mind our own business, shall we? Shishang paused. Muli frowned. Is there anything else? Shishang half knelt on the bed and placed his hands on Muli's shoulders. Just as Muli was puzzled, he suddenly lowered his head and kissed him. The girl's fragrance mixed with the smell of disinfectant flowed into his mouth from between his lips and teeth, and the familiar smell exploded in his mouth. Muli's eyes widened slightly. The throbbing of his heart made him feel a little uncomfortable, as if he couldn't breathe. He took a deep breath and sucked all the oxygen out of his Shishang's mouth. Only then did he feel better. He suddenly took a step back. The Shishang lost its support and fell off the bed. Shishang, who had fallen to the ground, got up with a dark expression. Are you crazy? If you suddenly backed out, would you be able to afford the compensation if something happened to the eye? Muli was still backing away. He looked a little panicked, as if Shishang had done something to him. Shishang rolled his eyes. It's just a kiss. Why are you overreacting? You've never been kissed before? Muli's Adam's apple bobbed twice, and his pale lips moved. No. Then, he yanked the door open and strode out. Shishang. What was going on? Didn't he take a knife for me before? Wasn't it because he subconsciously liked me? Shishang couldn't figure out Muli's tricks at all. On second thought, his wife turned out to be a pervert this time. He felt even more upset. No, he had to break it up properly. She didn't like perverts. His wife had to be cute. Outside the door, Muli stood against the wall. His heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to jump out of his chest. He panted slightly. His mind was filled with the image of her kissing him just now. He could still feel her warmth on his lips. What did that feel like? Muli didn't know. It was the first time in his life that he had felt this way. Dr. Mu? Are you okay? Muli pursed his lips. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly let go. He turned and walked towards the other ward. I'm fine. Continue. The nurse. They had just checked Dr. Mu. Continue what? The nurse called him a few times before Muli came back to his senses. He asked the nurse in a daze, What? The nurse asked carefully, Dr. Mu, are you feeling unwell? He felt unwell. His heart felt uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable. The high frequency of his heartbeat continued. But what made him feel even more uncomfortable was the woman in the other ward. I'm fine. Muli suppressed the strange emotions in his heart. Continue. The nurse saw that Muli was still walking forward. She quickly said, Dr. Mu, we came from that direction just now. Muli glanced in front. Then, he calmly turned around and walked back without saying a word. When he passed by Shishang's ward, he glanced sideways. The room was empty. There was no one in sight. He looked away and quickly left the ward. Shishang didn't see Muli for 2 days. The head nurse was the one doing the rounds. Shishang asked her where Muli had gone, but the head nurse didn't say anything. Then, Shishang threw a tantrum. The head nurse couldn't handle the sick Shishang, so she could only invite Muli over. Muli was invited over with a bad expression. He glanced at the room and stood far away. What's wrong? You have to drive I crazy just to see you. Dr. Mu, you're so arrogant. Shishang stood barefoot on the ground. There were some things scattered around him. It was a mess. Muli frowned. She was angry. Muli didn't know why this thought popped up in his head. He lowered his eyes. I'm busy. Shishang's eyes were cold. I'll ask you one last time. Why do you want me to leave? Muli put his hands back into the pocket of his white coat. After a moment of silence, he said, Someone asked me to. Shi Shang. She knew this idiot wouldn't take the initiative. Who? There was someone out there who still cared about the original owner? I'll tell you once you leave. What if I don't? The original owner's final wish was to leave, but she still had 2 tasks to complete. She still hadn't dealt with this idiot. How could she leave? Mu Li pursed his lips. Then I'll use special means to send you away. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. Special means? You want to kidnap me? How dare you have such a dangerous idea? You're really trying to take advantage of me after not seeing me for 3 days. And Qi, it's dangerous here. Shi Shang raised his chin slightly and said arrogantly, so what? Would she be afraid of those people? Mu Li retreated to the door. Think about it again. I won't leave until I'm done with my work. I'm a dedicated player. Mu Li paused for a moment, opened the door and walked out. Shi Shang could only look at his back. Nonsense. You said you would do it if you didn't want to. How could you have the cheek to say that? Shi Shang snorted. What's the point of being shameless? It's not like you can eat it. I'm actually speechless. Hashtag my host keeps going offline. What should I do? It's urgent. I'm waiting online hashtag. Chapter 11:25. For the next few days, Mu Li came to check in every day. However, every time he checked in, he would ask her if she had made up her mind. Then, Shi Shang would think that Mu Li was a beast dressed in human clothing and find him an eyesore. Annoyed, Shi Shang went to look for the people on the list given to him by Dr. Zhang. It was too troublesome to visit them one by one, so Shi Shang grabbed all of them and brought them to the 8th floor of the abandoned building. Can you imagine the horror of someone breaking in the middle of the night and waking up to find yourself tied up? Holding the list, Shi Shang said slowly under everyone's horrified gazes, I'm going to call the roll now. Squeak when you're here. Everyone was speechless. Did he think they were rats? Squeak. Squeak my ass. However, they had no choice but to lower their heads. When Shi Shang called the roll, they could only squeak in frustration. After the roll call, Shi Shang rested his chin on his hand and said, Very good. Now it's time for a quiz. Whoever answers faster and correctly has a higher chance of survival. Everyone's mouths were gagged, so they could only make monosyllabic sounds. Shi Shang stepped forward and tore the tape off their mouths. Once their mouths were free, someone immediately shouted, And Qi, are you crazy? Let us go. What are you talking about? I'm only here because I'm sick. Who would be mentally retarded in a mental hospital if they were not sick? Shi Shang's words made their expressions change. That's right. She was a psychopath. One of them shouted for help. 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 Someone. Stop howling. No one will come to save you even if you scream yourself hoarse. Shi Shang couldn't help but roll his eyes. Don't waste time. I'm going to start asking questions. Good luck to those who are slow to answer. Who is the person in charge of this plan? No one answered. Many of them were still screaming for help. Shi Shang picked his ear and suddenly took out his iron sword. He stabbed it in front of the person who was screaming the loudest. The screaming stopped abruptly. Shi Shang asked again, Who is the person in charge of this plan? Still, no one answered. Very good. The corners of Shi Shang's mouth curled up slightly. He pulled out his iron sword and directly stabbed at a person. That person roared, Hu Hai, it's Hu Hai. He told us to do this. Go and find him. The iron sword stopped abruptly. The blade was only a finger's width away from him. He could feel the cold air blowing against his face. He didn't doubt that if he didn't make a sound, the sword would have pierced his chest. Since she was able to bring so many of them here, killing people was probably not a big deal to her. Suddenly, an unpleasant smell floated in the air. That person's body trembled, and liquid slowly flowed out from the ground. He was actually so scared that he lost control of his bladder. Shi Shang took a step back in disdain. Hu Hai. He was the vice president of the hospital. Where is he? Abroad. Hu Hai went abroad and will be back in a few days. Shi Shang made a sound of acknowledgement. When did you guys start? 13 years ago. Other than experimenting on patients, what else have you done? These people were scattered. One person's information was limited, but when they worked together, they could almost connect all the clues together. 13 years ago, Hu Hai started experimenting on patients in the hospital. Human experiments had always been forbidden, let alone live experiments. Hu Hai definitely couldn't do it alone, so he dragged the people in the hospital down with him. Some did it for money, some were forced. In any case, no matter the reason, Hu Hai had a group of people on his side in the end. First, they used drugs to make the patients appear more ill and cause some trouble in the hospital. Then, they informed the patients' families that they died because of an accident due to illness. When these people were sent to be cremated, their bodies would be replaced by their own people. In reality, those people were still alive. The families they chose were the kind that couldn't afford the expenses and didn't seem to have much affection for each other. When these people died, it was like a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. They had been doing this for so many years. The death rate of people in the mental hospital was very high, but no one discovered it. Researching these things naturally required a lot of money. In order to support this, Hu Hai started a business. He let those rich people abuse these patients. They provided the money, and Hu Hai provided them with targets to abuse. This formed a chain of interests. You guys are really crazy. Shi Shang frowned in disgust. There was no lack of crazy people in this world. What was lacking was a pair of eyes that could see the truth, and the courage and strength to expose the truth. We were forced. They didn't want to do it, but Hu Hai had something on them. If they didn't do it, they would lose not only their jobs, but also their everything. Hu Hai had a complicated relationship with those rich people behind him. They couldn't win against him at all. They could only submit to his tyranny and do these crazy things. Shi Shang turned around to look for the system. Is my current mission considered complete? The system's voice sounded after a while. No. But face, I'll give you a chance to talk. The clue for the side mission is still Mu Li. How can the system submit to your tyranny? No means no. Shi Shang. Now that he had figured out the ins and outs of the whole thing, it was a bunch of crazy people who were stirring up trouble. What other problems could there be? What did Mu Li have to do with this? This is the host's mission. Shi Shang. Useless. Master, the host is attacking me again. Shi Shang wandered around the room for a while. Is Mu Li one of your people? Mu Li. They shook their heads. But Hu Hai asked us to keep an eye on Mu Li. Shi Shang tied them up and jumped out of the window to look for Mu Li. As soon as he arrived, he saw the female lead sneaking out. Shi Shang was puzzled. He thought for a while and followed her. Su Lu walked very carefully, avoiding all the surveillance cameras. She didn't reach out her hands like she usually did. Shi Shang was a bit surprised. This female lead didn't seem to be as stupid as she appeared to be. She didn't even realize that her acting skills were enough to win an Oscar. How could a female lead in a dark genre be so stupid? Shi Shang rolled his eyes and followed Su Lu all the way out of the mental hospital. She walked for a long distance, stopping from time to time to observe her surroundings. She was very cautious. Shi Shang secretly wanted to jump out and kill Su Lu. This was such a good opportunity. Just as Shi Shang was about to jump out, two cars suddenly drove over from afar. Several people got out of the cars. Su Lu was stunned. She probably sensed that something was wrong, so she turned around and ran. The people behind her quickly caught up with her. Su Lu resisted for a while before she was pinned down by the people behind her. They quickly stuffed her into the car and took her away. Shi Shang was dumbfounded. Was the female lead bound to be kidnapped when she wanted to cause trouble? No, put down the female lead Sama, hey. Let I do it. Asterisk the normal group went online. 451244066. There are no restrictions. Hashtag asking for oleander-flavored tickets today. Hashtag asking for monthly tickets this weekend. Hashtag if you have monthly tickets in your pocket, please take them out. Chapter 11:26. Shi Shang walked out of the darkness onto the road and scratched his head. Should he chase her now? Or should he not? There were always idiots trying to steal the female lead's head. While Shi Shang was still considering whether to chase her or not, two cars came from afar and stopped right in front of her. The headlights shone on her and the whole space lit up instantly. The people in the cars quickly got out and pointed their guns at her. Don't move, police. Shi Shang. You don't need to shout I to know you're a police officer. Idiot. The two policemen approached Shi Shang and one of them shouted again, raise your hands, put your hands on your head and squat down. Shi Shang was unmoved and asked calmly, do you want me to raise my hands or put my hands on my head? The policeman was silent for a few seconds. Put your hands on your head and squat down. Shi Shang spun the iron sword and said with a faint smile, your little white rabbit has been kidnapped. Aren't you going to chase her? The plot didn't mention why the female lead was in a mental hospital, but she was a normal person. Based on the current plot, the female lead was most likely a spy. Perhaps the female lead had been infected by the mental hospital for too long and was a little retarded. Who are you? The policeman looked at Shi Shang suspiciously. This girl was standing here in the middle of the night and surrounded by them, but she didn't show any reaction that a normal person should have. It was really strange. Shi Shang suddenly raised his hand, making the policeman nervous. Shi Shang rolled his eyes at them and then recited with deep emotion, I am the light that guides you in the dark, illuminating the foggy road for you. The policeman. Where did this Chunibyu come from? What did you see? The policeman who had checked the scene didn't find anything and gathered around Shi Shang. I saw someone being kidnapped. Shi Shang restrained his exaggerated expression and told the truth. Policeman A asked, by whom? Shi Shang rolled his eyes at the policeman who asked the question. How would I know? They're not here to kidnap me. Why was this girl so annoying? Policeman A resisted the urge to hit her and continued to ask, why are you here? Shi Shang scratched his head. Sleepwalking. The policeman. Sleepwalking here? Do you think this is your backyard? What's his name? What? Shi Shang suddenly exploded. Don't think you're so great just because you're the police. Are you allowed to ask a girl's name? Policeman A's face darkened. Stop pestering me. What are you shouting for? Shi Shang also raised his voice. My name isn't Chi. The police officer. There was definitely something wrong with this girl. A police officer came down with a laptop. Captain, we can't contact them. The locator is no longer working. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. Sulu is really your spy? As soon as he said this, the surrounding voices suddenly quieted down. What did she just say? They didn't say anything just now, so how did she find out? The man who was addressed as Captain immediately fixed his sharp gaze on Shi Shang and asked sternly, do you know Sulu? He's a ward mate. Of course, I know him. Ward mates. This woman is from a mental hospital. From the looks of it, no one would believe her. The captain sized up Shi Shang several times and waved his hand. Take him back. This woman had appeared here out of nowhere and said such a thing. It was hard not to be suspicious. Shi Shang raised his hand to stop them. Hey, be reasonable. I didn't break the law. You have no right to take me away. Please cooperate with our investigation and tell us everything you know. If you prove that you're not guilty, we won't do anything to you. Shi Shang's eyes curved. You want to know? I won't tell you. She picked up the iron sword. I'm going back to sleep. If you need anything, please make an appointment with my doctor. Bye. Several policemen wanted to stop Shi Shang, but Shi Shang knocked them down and quickly disappeared into the darkness. The policemen soon lost their target. Captain, we didn't manage to catch her. That woman is too fast. She disappeared in the blink of an eye. What the hell? We must find Sulu. The captain's face darkened. I'm going to Zhongshan Hospital. Let's move. Shi Shang did not go back to the hospital. Instead, he went to Mu Li's place. Mu Li did not live in the hospital. Shi Shang happened to see his address. It was a very ordinary neighborhood. Shi Shang climbed over the wall and climbed up the window. It was the middle of the night. The room was dark and quiet. It seemed that no one was there. Mu Li was not there. Shi Shang found the landline in Mu Li's room and called him. Mu Li was dumbfounded when he received the call. It took him a while to answer the call. A familiar voice came from the other end of the line. It was soft and gentle. Mu Li, where are you? Mu Li threw the man away and stepped on his chest. After a while he asked, Why are you in my house? I miss you. How on earth did she get to his house? After 3 seconds of silence, Mu Li sighed in his heart. Wait. Mu Li hung up the phone and looked at the man on the floor. Who else was involved? I don't know. I really don't know. I was just a nobody back then. The man's face was covered with tears and snot. Mu Li, I really didn't take part. They did it. They. Mu Li's voice was harsh. Then you deserve to die. No. Mu Li changed into a set of clean clothes and returned home. The lights in the living room were on. A small figure was sitting on the sofa and changing the TV channel. When she heard the door open, she immediately turned around with an unfriendly expression. I've been waiting for you for an hour. I'm sorry. After apologizing, Mu Li was stunned. Why was he apologizing? He had not settled the score with her for trespassing. Mu Li put down the keys and opened the door. He rubbed his fingers on the doorknob. How did you get in? Shi Shang glanced at the window. Through the window. Mu Li's face darkened. This is the 7th floor. Shi Shang nodded. Yes. It was a little difficult to climb up, so I flew in the end. Mu Li turned on all the lights in the living room. Acting up again? Shi Shang let out a long sigh. Lovesick. Mu Li froze. He walked to the water dispenser and poured a glass of water for Shi Shang. Why are you looking for me? Shi Shang held the glass and muttered, I offended the police just now. They might be looking for you. Mu Li's mouth twitched. Why would they look for me if you offended the police? Why would she offend the police in the middle of the night? What did she do? Because you're my attending doctor. Shi Shang looked sincere. Well, that's not important. Mu Li was speechless. That's not important? What's important? I'm here to ask you something. What is it? Why would you come through the window in the middle of the night? Shi Shang tilted his head and met his gaze. Do you like me? Asterisk, this is a fake group. Little Fairy, do you guys like me? Cherub. Yes. Little Fairy, I like you guys too. Shy emoji system. You're not asking for votes today? Little Fairy, I just want to confess. System. Who would believe that? Little Fairy, get lost. System. Chapter 11:27. Mu Li felt that the girl in front of him was a little crazy. It took him a while to find his voice. You came here from the hospital just to ask me about this? Shi Shang raised his head and looked at Mu Li. Do you like me? No. She didn't like him? But why did she have such a reaction? Mu Li avoided Shi Shang's gaze. I'll take you home. Shi Shang curled her lips. I knew it. This idiot rarely acts when he's not being awkward. Shi Shang changed his position and sank into the sofa. What feud do you have with Hu Hai? Mu Li suddenly raised his head. Shi Shang's eyes flashed coldly under the refraction of his lenses. Shi Shang waited for a long time, but Mu Li didn't reply. She didn't have much hope. I just wanted to let you know that I might be dealing with them. Who do you want me to keep for you? Mu Li frowned. How much do you know? Not much, about 70 to 80%. Mu Li sat down beside Shi Shang. They're not that easy to deal with, Shi Shang snorted. You have to dare to challenge new heights. Mu Li glanced sideways at her. The girl's side profile was gentle and soft, like a piece of polished jade wrapped in soft light. Her lips were seductively red, as if she was waiting for a taste. You want to kiss me? Mu Li was awakened by Shi Shang's shameless voice. He immediately looked away. And Qi, it's not as simple as you think. A lot of people are involved in this matter. I don't know where you got the news from, but you're not allowed to interfere in this matter. Mu Li, I want to kiss you. Mu Li was speechless. Was she even listening to him? Shi Shang stared at him for a few seconds before suddenly pouncing on him. Sleep with him first. If he didn't want to sleep with his wife, he was either having an affair or crazy. Mu Li didn't expect Shi Shang to pounce on him. He instinctively dodged, but the fruit knife on the table slid across the back of his hand. Mu Li's face turned pale when he saw the blood on the back of his hand. He felt dizzy. He swayed and fell back onto the sofa. Shi Shang half knelt on the sofa and looked at him in confusion. What are you doing? I haven't even started. Why is it that you're already dying? Mu Li fixed his gaze on Shi Shang. The blood in his eyes seemed to fade away. Shi Shang's gaze fell on his hand, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Faint at the sight of blood. No wonder he suddenly fainted last time, even though he wasn't seriously injured. Was it really okay for a doctor to faint from blood? The patient fainted before he was cured. How did such a person become a doctor? Shi Shang rushed forward and pinched him. Mu Li was in great pain, but the dizziness subsided a little. I can't believe you're scared of blood. Shi Shang squatted beside him. It was hard to tell whether he was gloating or something else. Mu Li turned his head away and propped himself up to grab a tissue from the table. He rubbed the back of his hand and wiped it. Shi Shang sighed. Where's the medical kit? Mu Li paused and said slowly, in the bedroom, on the second row of the bedside table. Shi Shang jumped off the sofa and walked into the bedroom barefoot. She quickly came out with the medical kit, squatted on the floor, and rummaged through the medical kit. Her actions were very rough and lacked the gentleness of a girl. Shi Shang cleaned up the bloodstains, disinfected the wound, stopped the bleeding, and bandaged it. Thank you. Shi Shang threw the medical kit into the medical kit and crossed his arms on Mu Li's lap. He leaned forward slightly. Kiss me as a thank you gift. Men and women should not touch each other. Mu Li's expression did not change. Didn't I kiss you before? And Qi, stop fooling around. Mu Li scolded her in a low voice. Shi Shang stood up from the floor and returned to the sofa. Where's your phone? Mu Li was confused by her sudden change. He frowned slightly. What are you doing? Playing games. There's nothing in that lousy hospital. I feel like killing someone. Shi Shang glared at him. What? You won't let me kiss you, but you won't let me play games? Are you trying to kill me? Mu Li was speechless. Was it as serious as she made it out to be? He moved to the side, took out his phone and handed it to her. Shi Shang ignored Mu Li as soon as he received his phone. Mu Li sat for a while, then got up and went to the bedroom to get changed. After changing, he stood in front of Shi Shang. I'll take you home. Shi Shang's fingers quickly tapped on the screen. No, those idiots must be in the hospital. I don't want to see them. If you don't want to see them, why did you provoke them? Who provoked them? Shi Shang was furious. They came to me. I was just standing there. I didn't do anything. Mu Li pushed his glasses up. You didn't do anything. Why did they come to you? Shi Shang's fingers paused. He looked up with exaggerated surprise. Maybe they took a fancy to my good looks. Dr. Mu, aren't you going to protect me? Mu Li was speechless. They are not bandits. Why would they take a fancy to your good looks? BZZT, 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 BZZT. Sheshang's phone suddenly vibrated. A name popped up on the screen. Mu Li took the phone back. Hello? Yes. She's with me. It's fine. I'll bring her home tomorrow. Yes. Mu Li hung up and pointed to a room. There's a guest room over there. Sheshang blinked. But I want you to sleep with me. Mu Li's face darkened. He turned around and walked to his room. After closing the door, he realized that he hadn't finished talking. He opened the door again. About who high? The girl who was sitting on the sofa was now standing on the windowsill. Mu Li was shocked. What are you doing? Sheshang turned around. He paused and said confidently, If you don't let me sleep with you, I'll jump down from here. Mu Li walked over from the door nervously. Chi, come down. Don't come over. I'll jump down if you do. Mu Li stopped immediately. Okay, I won't go over. Come down first. Are you going to let me sleep with you or not? No one is like you. Who would force someone like that? Strangely, he didn't feel disgusted. He just felt helpless. Sheshang grabbed the window. Half of his body was leaning out. Then I'll jump down. She had planned to leave. Who knew that this idiot would appear again? Since he had already climbed up, he should at least give himself some benefits. Mu Li's heart was in his mouth. Chi, calm down. Can you come down and talk? Sheshang glared at him. It's just a matter of one sentence. Are you going to waste time? Are you going to lose, or am I going to lose? From the looks of it, he was definitely going to lose. Mu Li suppressed this thought. Can you guarantee that you're sober right now? Nonsense. I'm sober than anyone else. Come down first. You agree? Mu Li asked. Will you come down if I don't agree? No. I know how to leave. Who has the time to waste with you? There's a bunch of little bitches waiting for me to teach them a lesson. Come down. Mu Li turned and walked into the bedroom. Sheshang stood there for a while. Then he jumped down from the window and followed Mu Li into the room. Chapter 1128. Mu Li brought Sheshang back to the hospital. The team leader from yesterday was already waiting in his office. The team leader's sharp gaze swept across the two of them and his tone was full of questions. Dr. Mu, how can your hospital take a patient out for a night? Mu Li put on his glasses and instantly became a beast dressed in human clothing. This is our hospital's business. It has nothing to do with this police officer, right? The team leader's face darkened. They had waited here for the whole night, but there was no news at all. The only person who knew something was not here. They wanted to go directly to the hospital and arrest him, but no one in the hospital knew where Mu Li lived. They only found an old address and there was no one at all. The situation is urgent. I don't want to talk nonsense with Dr. Mu. I need to take Chi away. Chi's health is not good. She can't leave the hospital. Mu Li's tone was neither light nor heavy, but it was irrefutable. The team leader's face darkened and became even colder and more serious. She is an eyewitness of a kidnapping case. We now suspect that she is related to this case. We need her to cooperate with the investigation. You suspect her just because you say so? Where's the evidence? No one other than Sheshang could speak so harshly. She had not said anything when she came in just now. The team leader had also turned his attention to Mu Li. Sheshang's sudden words attracted the team leader and Mu Li's attention. You showed up at the crime scene alone. Isn't that evidence? Sheshang rolled her eyes. I was just passing by. Did you buy that road? You didn't allow me to pass by? The team leader and Sheshang were at loggerheads. Why would you pass by at that time? Sleepwalking. Didn't I tell you before? I didn't see you for one night. Officer, have your brains been eaten by zombies? The team leader was speechless. How could there be such an arrogant woman? Could he arrest her and educate her? We have already checked your medical records last night. You don't have sleepwalking. According to the situation at that time, you were very awake and not sleepwalking. Miss Chi, what else do you have to say? The team leader spoke quickly. This was all due to his experience dealing with suspects. Sleepwalking? How could she have happened to see Su Lu being kidnapped? Who would believe that? So what if I was awake? I saw it and even remembered the car plate number. I won't tell you. What can you do to me? You. Shishang's eyes curved into crescents. Don't be so agitated. It won't be good if you agitate me. I'm a patient. I don't need to take responsibility if I hit someone later. The captain suppressed his anger and softened his tone. And Chi, that's an innocent life. Are you going to watch something happen to her? Shishang shrugged. I can't see anything. Will the female lead Darren die? He was someone who could survive on his last breath. They were as tenacious as the villains. The only difference between them and villains was that in the end, they would reach the pinnacle of their lives, while villains could only be corrupted until they died. Captain, this won't do. Men, take this lunatic back and lock her up. The captain was furious, but he didn't dare to mess around in the hospital. They had secretly contacted the hospital's own people and entered as the patient's family. Mu Li moved to the side and stood between Shishang and the captain. Officer, can you leave now that you're done? The captain gritted his teeth. Dr. Mu, you might be protecting a criminal suspect. It's none of my business. She's my patient now, so I have to take responsibility for her. If you have evidence, you can come and talk about it. Take care. The captain took a deep breath and turned to leave. A fox would always show its tail. He didn't believe that. Mu Li watched the captain leave before he turned to look at Shishang. Did you leave any useful evidence? Shishang said innocently, I didn't do anything. Mu Li nodded and patted her head. Go back to the ward first. I'll talk to the director. Shishang raised his little face. Mu Li looked at her for a few seconds before he lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Be careful. Shishang wasn't satisfied. He pulled Mu Li and kissed him deeply before he left. Mu Li's face was red from the kiss. He stood in the office to cool off before he shook his head and left. Shishang avoided the nurses and went up to the 8th floor to check on the group of B** cheese. As soon as he entered the room, he smelled the strong scent of blood. Shishang's expression changed. It was over. She quickly rushed to the room where the men were kept. The men she had tied up were all dead. Their throats had been slit and they had bled to death. Shishang walked around the corpses twice and his expression became more and more unpleasant. The corpses were placed in a circle with 3 men in the middle. They were all in a kneeling position and all the blood was in the circle. It was a simplified emblem. A flower blooming in a cage was watered with blood. Mu Bai, that idiot. What's the point of competing with I? Flip the table. Go ahead and do it yourself. Calm down. She couldn't get angry over an idiot. He must have killed these people to frame her. Shishang checked the scene but couldn't find any evidence to frame her. She was a little confused. Was it just to tell her that he was here? No, there must be something wrong. Shishang's gaze landed on the corpses. Her eyes widened and she quickly retreated to the door. Boom! The entire 8th floor was razed to the ground with a loud bang. Strangely, the floors below the 7th floor were not damaged at all. Shishang landed on the grass and looked up at the smoking roof. The corners of his mouth twitched. What a cunning man! He didn't even let the corpses go. Beep! Shishang suddenly heard a beeping sound under her feet. Her body stiffened. Was this idiot done? Shishang took a deep breath and jumped to the side. The iron sword appeared in the next moment and carried her in another direction. Bang! The place where she was standing just now exploded. It was like a fuse. With it as the center, the sound of the explosion spread far and wide. Shishang raised the iron sword to avoid the explosion. That idiot is amazing. Shishang was very impressed. Because he didn't know where she would run to, The result would be the same no matter which direction she ran to. Mu Bai must be nearby. Shi Shang quickly looked around. If it was her, where would she hide? Mu Bai would definitely think according to her train of thought. So, Shi Shang fixed her eyes on a building. It looked a little old and was hidden behind several tall buildings. If she wasn't in the air, she wouldn't have been able to see it. Shi Shang flew over and landed on the roof of the building. The roof seemed to be in disrepair. There was moss and abandoned equipment everywhere. It was piled up haphazardly and looked like it had been there for a long time. This was the laboratory building that Dr. Zhang had mentioned. Shi Shang tilted her head and smiled evilly. Today, let me save the world. Let's observe a moment of silence for the people below. Chapter 11:29. At the bottom of the laboratory building, a pale and thin man was putting on his coat. There was a computer screen in front of him, showing the scene of the explosion. Mu Bai buttoned his shirt one by one and took a deep breath. Run. He would die if he didn't run. Mu Bai didn't even turn off his computer and ran straight out. He could vaguely hear screams from behind, echoing throughout the entire laboratory building. Mu Bai felt a chill down his spine and ran out even faster. He didn't want to face it head-on. It was too scary. As a gentleman, he had to be elegant and couldn't be embarrassed, so he ran quickly. Mu Bai had been here for a long time and had already familiarized himself with the hospital. When Shi Shang cleared the monsters from the top floor to the bottom floor, Mu Bai was long gone. Shi Shang only saw the provocative message he left in the room. The explosion outside had caused the entire hospital to be in chaos. It was easy for Mu Bai to run away. Shi Shang chased after him and ran into Mu Li. He glanced at the laboratory building behind them and his face darkened. He pulled her to a secluded area. Mu Li threw her against the wall and put his hands on the wall, trapping her. What are you doing here? Fighting monsters, no, saving people. Nonsense, follow me. Mu Li grabbed her and walked in another direction. His palms were sweaty and trembling slightly. When he heard the explosion in the inpatient department, he felt as if someone had sucked him dry. Fear almost drowned him. Shi Shang didn't say anything and let Mu Li take her to his office. On the way, they met many panicking patients and medical staff. Mu Li pushed Shi Shang into the office. Stay here and don't go anywhere. Okay. The hospital was soon filled with firefighters, paramedics, and medical staff after the explosion. No one knew the cause of the explosion, so they could only make sure that the patients were fine. The director rushed over and almost fainted when he saw the tragic scene. Is anyone hurt? Check the patients. The person in charge of checking quickly came over. Director, a few patients were shocked and suffered minor injuries. It's nothing serious. But An-Chi on the 6th floor and Su Lu on the 2nd floor are missing. An-Chi is in my office. Mu Li walked out from the crowd. She's fine. The nurse blushed and glanced at Mu Li. Then only Su Lu can't be found. Where did he go? The dean roared. Why aren't you looking for him? The nurse shuddered. Yes, sir. After the nurse left, the director yelled at the person next to him, calm the patients down first. Pay attention to their emotions. Now, only one person was missing. Maybe he just ran somewhere to hide during the chaos just now. As long as no one died, it was fine. If someone really died, these people's family members would make a fuss, and the hospital would suffer a big loss. The nurse trotted away. The director frowned at Mu Li. Xiao Mu, what's going on between you and An-Chi? Mu Li's gaze landed on the pitch-black 8th floor. The metal railings had long been blown away, and nothing could be seen. Dean, I will take care of it. It's good that you know your limits. The hospital director took a deep look at Mu Li and was about to go to the fire department to ask about the situation when a doctor suddenly shouted and ran over from afar. He was followed by a group of reporters. Dean, it's bad. We don't know where these reporters got the news. We can't stop them. The doctor ran in, panting. Almost at the same time, The reporters who had chased over also arrived and surrounded the hospital director and Mu Li. All kinds of sharp questions came one after another. Are you the person in charge of the hospital? Why did the hospital explode? Is the patient injured? Is the explosion in the hospital caused by the patient's illness? Or is someone deliberately seeking revenge? Your hospital has always been known as the safest hospital. Why did such a large-scale explosion happen? Excuse me. The hospital director couldn't open his eyes because of the blinding flashes. Almost all the big media outlets were here. Why did these people come so quickly? I'm sorry, the cause of the accident is still under investigation. It's not convenient to disclose. Your presence here will hinder the patient's transfer. If anything happens, the hospital will hold you responsible. The hospital director first gave them a warning, then softened his tone. Friends from the media, if you want to understand the situation, please wait with our staff in the living room. I will give you 15 minutes to ask questions later. If these people were not dealt with properly, who knew what they would write? This hospital was different from other hospitals. The patients here were all lunatics. When a normal person went crazy, it was very scary, not to mention when a lunatic acted up. Therefore, after the hospital director made this suggestion, most of the people left according to the arrangement. There were too many people and they didn't notice that a few reporters went to the abandoned hospital building when they weren't paying attention. Hospital director, we can't contact a few doctors. The hospital director had a headache. Why can't we contact them? I don't know. Their phones can't be reached. They didn't clock in this morning. Even Dr. Zhao, who was on duty yesterday, is not here. The explosion happened during working hours, so they didn't pay much attention. Now that they needed manpower, they realized that there were a few doctors who didn't come to work. The hospital director sent people to look for them, but they couldn't find them in the entire hospital. When he called their contact numbers, many people said that they were still there when they went to sleep last night. When they woke up, they didn't see them and thought that there was an emergency in the hospital. The hospital director immediately reported this news to Zhou Ning, who was at the scene. Zhou Ning asked someone to record it and then sent people to investigate. Zhou Ning remembered that he hadn't seen Su Lu for so long and quickly asked the hospital director, "Director, did you see Su Lu?" "Su Lu? She's missing. We haven't found her yet. How could she be missing? Maybe she ran to hide somewhere during the chaos just now. Patients can't take too much agitation. Officer Zhou, don't worry too much. I've already sent people to look for her." The hospital director definitely knew about the murder case that happened in the hospital and had some impression of Su Lu. Zhou Ning had a bad premonition and quickly asked someone to check the surveillance footage. During the chaos in the hospital, Shi Shang was using the computer in Mu Li's office to check the hospital surveillance footage. There were no surveillance cameras outside the laboratory building, but there were surveillance cameras in the building next to it. There were only a few exits in that building. Unless that idiot Mu Bai could escape into the sky, he could only come out from those few exits. At that time, not many people would come to the laboratory building, so it was easy to lock onto someone. Flip the table, easy my ass. Damn it, he was so wrapped up that only his eyes were visible. She didn't have X-ray vision, so how could she see? If you're so capable, show me your face. What kind of man are you to be wrapped up like a dumpling? Flips table. Asterisk hashtag today's vote for Magnolia flavor hashtag monthly vote for Cherub. Will you vote for me? Hashtag. Chapter 1130. Shi Shang chased after Mu Bai for a few streets but still couldn't find him. He turned into a deserted alley and Shi Shang couldn't find him again. Mu Bai was the only retard who dared to go against him. Shi Shang was a little excited. He rubbed his hands together and sneered. There was no retard that he couldn't kill. The explosion below the hospital didn't hurt anyone. It was quickly found that someone had planted explosives. However, the surveillance footage was deleted and couldn't be recovered. They had no idea who did it. The 8th floor was even stranger. They couldn't find the cause of the explosion. The police were at a loss. Suddenly, The media released a news article. Several major media outlets released it at the same time. The title was exactly the same, but the content and pictures were different. The title was, Revealing the Dirty Dealings of Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. The truth is shocking and chilling. The article described everything they saw in the laboratory building and the pictures they took. The eye-catching, bold, and red headline caused a whirlwind early in the morning. It became the latest hot topic. Anonymous netizen A. This is insane. How could he treat a patient like that? He even said that he would save the dying and heal the injured. Anonymous netizen B. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital is the largest psychiatric hospital in our city. It was advertised that all the resources are the best in the country and everything is centered around the patients. I didn't expect it to be like this. It's disgusting. I feel sorry for the patients. Anonymous netizen C. The patients are the most pitiful. What did they do wrong? They were treated like goods. They have families too. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital must take responsibility for this. Anonymous netizen D. Go to hell. Doctors? Insulting the profession. Anonymous netizen. The comments were all scolding Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. Many people even signed a joint report. Yesterday, many media outlets released the news about the explosion at Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital. Today, several major media outlets released the same news. The relevant departments couldn't sit back and do nothing when such a big thing happened. Zhongshan Psychiatric Hospital became the target of public criticism. Family members from all over the world gathered outside the hospital and demanded an explanation. Now, as long as the family members and some people spontaneously organized saw people in white coats and nurse uniforms, they would beat them up regardless of whether they had done anything wrong or not. The people in the hospital didn't dare to go out. Shang leaned his head against the glass and looked at the people below. After a while, he tilted his head and looked at Mu Li. They scolded all of you. Aren't you angry? Shouldn't you have known this would happen when you did this? Mu Li looked at the item in his hand, and his expression did not change. Shang blinked, turned around, and leaned against the window. How did you know I did it? Mu Li didn't answer. He just calmly asked, Wasn't it you? Shang nodded. It's me. Murder is against the law. If she could reduce the trouble of disposing of the corpse, she was more than happy to do so. Hu Hai and the people behind him have formed a chain of interests. If something happens to Hu Hai, they will be dragged down as well. So. Mu Li paused and looked at Shang. Do you think those people will just sit and wait for death? Shang rolled his eyes and walked to the opposite side of the table. He leaned over and lifted his chin. Are you angry? Mu Li was forced to look up. His lips moved. No. Their eyes met. Shang suddenly said, I don't like you wearing glasses. When Mu Li heard that she didn't like it, he instinctively took off his glasses. He stared at the glasses in his hand for a few seconds. Why was he so obedient to her? Shang leaned over and kissed him on the lips. Their lives are in your hands now. Mu Li lowered his gaze. There was a small USB flash drive on the table. It looked familiar. It belonged to his house. When did she take it? What's inside? Everything. In this world that had not entered the interstellar era, she was the ruler as long as there was internet. She might not be the best in the interstellar world, but no one could surpass her. Everyone was evenly matched. Mu Li glanced at her and made a call. Soon, a doctor came in and looked at Shang curiously. Brother Mu? Mu Li passed the USB flash drive to him. Use it wisely. What's this? Mu Li didn't answer because he didn't know either. The doctor didn't ask any more questions. He took an empty computer from the side and inserted the USB flash drive into it. There was a title for each file. It was clear at a glance. Brother Mu, where did you get this? The doctor clicked on a few files and suddenly stuttered. Mu Li saw that his reaction was a little exaggerated. He shifted his gaze to the computer. After looking at a few files, he retracted his gaze. Go back and tidy it up. Wait for my news. The doctor hurriedly took the USB flash drive and gave him a thumbs up. Brother Moo, you're awesome. Where did you find this person? Are you taking in disciples? Mooley glanced at him. The doctor then realized that Mooley wasn't wearing his glasses. His face fell for a moment and he quickly lowered his head. Brother Moo, I'll leave first. Are you still angry? Sher Shang leaned over as soon as the doctor left. Mooley raised his hand and hugged her waist. Don't let anyone know that you have this ability. Do you understand? In today's society, if a person with the ability couldn't be used, they would be destroyed. Sher Shang snorted arrogantly. It's not that easy to make me do things. Mu Li, you're underestimating me. I'm very capable. I know you're capable, but this has nothing to do with me worrying about you. Don't make me worry. Fine, fine, fine. You're so annoying. Mu Li shook his head helplessly. He pulled her into his arms and continued to look at the documents on the table. He didn't know why he wasn't surprised that she knew these things. He didn't want to know either. Sher Shang looked at the documents in his hand. They were all professional terms. After a few glances, she lost interest and snuggled into his arms to sleep. When Mu Li woke her up, the sky was already dark outside. Let's go home. Sher Shang rubbed his head. Are you taking me with you? Mu Li chuckled. Who else would I take if not you? Did they allow you to take me out? The hospital has been in a mess these few days. I've already told the director. Mu Li stood up with her in his arms. Perhaps because he had been sitting for a long time, his legs were numb. It took him a while to walk outside. There were still many people outside, and there were also police officers keeping watch. When these people went crazy, they were much scarier than the lunatics inside. When Mu Li's car was about to leave, it was stopped. Zhou Ning stood in front of the car window in his military uniform. Dr. Mu, I'm sorry. The patients in the hospital can't leave for the time being. Especially this woman. She couldn't leave. Su Lu hadn't been found yet. He suspected that this woman had done something. The director has given his permission. I'll bring her back tomorrow. Zhou Ning didn't buy it. Dr. Mu, this is the rule. Chapter 1131. F***CK, Where's I's sword? Is this idiot done yet? Just kill the male lead. Mu Li held back Sher Shang, who was about to hit him. He opened the car door and talked to Zhou Ning for a minute. Zhou Ning's face turned from green to black. Mu Li went back to the car and drove off. He saw Zhou Ning standing there from the rearview mirror. Sher Shang asked Mu Li curiously, What did you talk to him about? What he wants to know. What he wants to know. What does the male lead want to know? Sher Shang gave up after 2 questions. She was only responsible for killing the male lead, not answering his questions. Back at Mu Li's house, Mu Li made a simple dinner. At night, the two of them lay on the same bed. Because of Mu Li's injury, they didn't do anything. They just covered themselves with the blanket and chatted. The next day, they went to the hospital and heard that Hu Hai had returned. Hu Hai immediately called for a press conference and used a doctor as a shield to clear his name. He had been in the industry for so many years. If he didn't prepare himself, he would be stupid. Hu Hai rarely let people have something on him. Most of the time, he didn't show up in person. There was no evidence to prove that he had anything to do with this. Should I kill him? Sher Shang tilted his head and asked Mu Li. She could take care of this with one strike, but she couldn't finish it even after a long time. Mu Li patted Sher Shang's head. If he dies at this time, people will be suspicious. What are you afraid of? If one comes, I'll kill one. If 2 come, I'll kill 2. Don't kill people in the future. Mu Li held Sher Shang's hand. You shouldn't let their blood stain your hands. They don't deserve it. Sher Shang. Mu Li was a little too evil. Mu Li leaned over and kissed her forehead. Be good and listen to me. His lips slowly moved downwards. Every kiss was very gentle until he captured her lips. Suddenly, he used more force, like a violent storm. If it wasn't for someone knocking on the door, the two of them would have had a miscarriage in the office. Mu Li loosened his grip on the Sheng. His expression was a little unnatural. Well, you stay here. I'll be back soon. The Sheng was placed on the chair, and Mu Li got up to leave. After taking 2 steps, he turned back and kissed her red lips again. Don't run around. Sheng did not respond and watched Mu Li leave. Since Mu Li didn't allow Sheng to do it, Sheng secretly prepared to kill the other party. When Mu Li left her alone in the office, she immediately slipped out. Hu Hai should be in his office right now. Sheng asked the system to help him hack the surveillance cameras. He avoided people and sneaked all the way to Hu Hai's office. Hu Hai was the vice president. His office was very big, and there was a small cubicle inside. Sheng entered the cubicle through the window. The door was ajar, and the sound of conversation drifted in. Are you sure? It's definitely him. I'm afraid he has something to do with this incident. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental that we were exposed when the hospital exploded? Pa. Someone slammed the table. Didn't I ask you to get rid of everyone? What did you do? Vice President, this. He was forced to jump into the sea. We couldn't find his body for a long time and thought he was dead. Who knew that he was so lucky to still be alive? The person who answered seemed to be very scared. You gave up looking for him when you didn't find his body. A bunch of useless people. Hu Hai was even angrier. Think of a way to get rid of him. I don't want to see him tomorrow. Vice President? At this time, there were people investigating everywhere outside. Killing him would not do them any good. Otherwise, why are you waiting for him to be exposed? Hu Hai shouted angrily. He realized that he was too loud, so he lowered his voice. He can't be alive. Otherwise, we'll be in danger. This? Hu Hai continued to advise that person. You don't have to do it yourself. Find someone to create an accident or something. Sheng sat on the chair in the cubicle and listened to the 2 people outside discussing how to kill Mu Li. His eyes were cold. The voices outside gradually weakened. The person opened the door and left. Hu Hai made 2 more phone calls to arrange a meeting. After hanging up, he walked towards the cubicle. The door opened and a slightly plump man appeared at the door. Seeing that there was someone in the cubicle, Hu Hai was shocked. His face was full of vigilance. Who are you? What are you doing here? Sheng crossed his arms in front of him and rested his elbows on the chair's armrest. He looked exactly like a boss. Sheng looked up at Hu Hai and smiled. I want to discuss the origin of life with you. What origin of life? How did you get in? Hu Hai's face darkened. How much did you hear just now? I heard everything that I should and shouldn't have. Sheng tilted his head. You're so arrogant, Vice President Hu. How dare you touch I's people? Hu Hai's heart skipped a beat, but he relaxed when he saw that it was a girl. He closed the door. You asked for it. Vice President Hu, are you trying to silence me? Hu Hai's expression was ferocious. You heard what you shouldn't have. You can't blame anyone else. Hu Hai thought that the girl in front of him would at least reveal a look of panic, if not fear. However, her expression didn't change much from the beginning to the end. She just smiled faintly and looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Hu Hai started to panic. Where did this girl come from? Sheng calmly took out a talisman and stuck it on the table beside him. Vice President Hu is right. You can't blame anyone else for wanting to touch someone you shouldn't have. Hu Hai's eyes widened. You work for Mu Li? Correction, Mu Li works for me. Sheng stood up from the chair and looked at Hu Hai from the corner of his eyes. She was 1.6 meters tall, which was slightly different from Hu Hai's height. However, Hu Hai felt a sense of oppression from her height. It had nothing to do with her height. It was her aura. How could such a young girl have such an aura? While Hu Hai was still in a daze, Shi Shang went up and tied him up. Perhaps for his own safety, Hu Hai had learned a few moves, but if he wanted to deal with Shi Shang with his mediocre skills, it was a fool's dream. What are you doing? Let me go. Where's Mu Li? Get Mu Li to come out and see me. Hu Hai was tied up and thrown to the ground. His face was swollen and looked very comical. Do you think you can see my Mu Li whenever you want? Do you think you're a ***? Shi Shang snorted. Let me ask you. What did you do to Mu Li? Why did you force him to jump into the sea? Hu Hai didn't want to answer, but he couldn't bear Shi Shang's methods. People like him were actually very afraid of death. They could do whatever they wanted. I'll talk. Hu Hai surrendered. When his sister was hospitalized, a guest took a fancy to her. Since they were both orphans, I didn't think much of it. Chapter 1132. 7 years ago, Mu Li's sister was sent to this hospital. How rich could an orphan be? Back then, Mu Li was only 17 years old. In order to treat his sister's illness, he had to work many jobs. With the funds provided by the orphanage, they could barely afford his sister's treatment. However, he didn't have much time to take care of his sister. Every time he went to work, Hu Hai would send someone to take his sister away and hand her over to the client. She was sick. Even if she cried and threw a tantrum, Hu Hai could still coax Mu Li. Until one day, the client went overboard and killed his sister. He even left marks on her hands and feet. They had made up an excuse to fool Mu Li, but Mu Li saw the marks. Mu Li was so angry that he wanted to call the police. At that time, Hu Hai was working with the client. He couldn't afford to offend the client and let the police investigate. However, Mu Li was just an orphan. No one cared if he died, so Hu Hai decided to kill him and eliminate him completely. After that, Mu Li was forced to jump into the sea. 7 years later, he came back. He was the youngest doctor with a high education. 7 years ago, his name wasn't Mu Li. He took the surname of the director of the orphanage. He looked very different from 7 years ago. He couldn't remember anything. You've harmed too many people. That's why you can't remember? Shi Shang mercilessly exposed Hu Hai's cover. If a person had harmed only one person, he would remember that person. He would feel like that person was everywhere. Who was that person? Who? Hu Hai didn't understand. Who was the person who killed Mu Li's sister? It was Ran Hua. Shi Shang took out a medicine bottle from his space and unscrewed the cap. Hu Hai naturally recognized it. I'll tell you everything you want to know. What do you want to do? Shi Shang took the medicine bottle and walked forward with a smile. Let Director Hu have a taste of this medicine. Hu Hai shook his head in horror. No. That's not up to you. Shi Shang pinched Hu Hai's chin and fed him the entire bottle of medicine. He only let him go after he made sure that Hu Hai had swallowed all the medicine. Ugh. Hu Hai wanted to spit the medicine out. He could only take one pill at a time. If he took so many, he would die. Shi Shang waited for about an hour before he let Hu Hai go. He erased all traces of his presence and climbed onto the windowsill. Dr. Hu, enjoy the rest of your time. She jumped down from the windowsill. Hu Hai was still lying on the ground. An hour had passed, and he could no longer spit out the medicine. No, he didn't want to die. Hu Hai scrambled to find his phone, as if he was grabbing onto a life-saving straw. He quickly flipped through his address book. Hey, I want to see you right now. I want it now. If something happens to me, you won't be able to escape either. F***CK. Hu Hai hung up the phone after roaring. He got up from the ground and walked out. Shi Shang watched as Hu Hai drove away. She followed behind him at a leisurely pace. Hu Hai went to meet someone. Perhaps the two of them did not come to an agreement and quarreled. Hu Hai slammed the door and left. Halfway through, Hu Hai's expression suddenly turned sinister and he turned back. Before the man could react, he stabbed him to death with a single stab of the knife. One pill could make a patient lose his mind. Shi Shang had fed him so many pills. It was normal for him to stab someone to death. On the way back, Hu Hai became more and more distracted and irritable. The traffic light did not turn on for a long time. Hu Hai stepped on the accelerator and crashed into a truck. The truck flipped over and slid on the road for a distance. The ear-piercing screeches pierced the air. Shi Shang stood on the sidewalk and coldly watched as the pedestrians rushed in his direction. Shi Shang turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the crowd. It was a traffic accident, and the victim was the vice director of the Zhongshan Mental Hospital, who had caused a stir recently. The case was then handed over to Zhou Ning. When Zhou Ning checked the surveillance camera, he saw Shi Shang standing on the sidewalk. His face darkened. It was her again. Why was she everywhere? She was standing so far away this time, so Zhou Ning had no reason to look for her. He could only suspect her in his heart. Mu Li's first reaction when he saw the news was to grab Shi Shang by the collar and pull him in front of him. "Didn't I tell you not to do anything to him?" Shi Shang looked innocent. "He got into a car accident. What does it have to do with me?" Mu Li looked at him and did not speak. Okay. But if you don't kill him, he will kill you." Shi Shang surrendered. "How can I watch him do that to you? Even if I want to, I can't." Mu Li suddenly pulled Shi Shang into his arms. "And Qi, what should I do with you?" She always caused a lot of trouble when he was not paying attention, and it was the dangerous kind. Shi Shang hugged him and said softly, "You only need to do one thing. Stay by my side. I can clear all obstacles for you. You only need to sit on the throne I made up for you and never betray me." Mu Li tightened his arms. He would always stay by her side. After a long time, Mu Li let go of her. "What else did you do?" "Ren Hua." Mu Li was puzzled. "That. Hu Hai told me something. Ran Hua should be the person you are looking for." Mu Li frowned. "You know about it?" "Yes." Mu Li looked out of the window. A long time ago, he wanted to take revenge, but he did not know when it started. This thought gradually faded, but it was still important. It was as if this thought was what kept him alive. Ever since he met her, this matter did not seem to be so important. But he had to do it. Mu Li asked his men to use the information that Shi Shang had given him previously. One after another, scandals were exposed. People from all walks of life started to feel uneasy. In this world, who did not have scandals? Especially those who were related to Zhongshan Mental Hospital, they were even more anxious. But now that Hu Hai was dead, all they could do was think of ways to clear their names. At the smoking area of the hospital, a man was talking to a man standing at the door of the ward. "Captain, who do you think did this? We have been investigating for so long, but we haven't found any useful information. This person dragged so many people down with him." "I don't know." The captain took a puff of his cigarette and said in a low voice, "Inform everyone to start working." "I've already informed them. Let's see how they are going to argue this time. We have been following this case for so long. This time, it's finally going to be over." The captain looked at him deeply. "Do you think we should be happy? Shouldn't we be? With so much evidence, it would be much easier for them to investigate." The captain was exasperated. "There's an unknown person who obtained so much evidence when we couldn't find anything. Do you think this person is helping us by revealing it now?" "Don't tell me he's not. Look at the list of names. Any one of them is enough to make us busy. We still need to verify whether the evidence is real or not. It's not just because the higher-ups say so. So much time is enough for those people to destroy the evidence. Do you still think he's helping us?" Chapter 1133. With Zhongshan Mental Hospital as the lead, the scandals that were exposed shocked the whole country. Not everything was related to Zhongshan Mental Hospital, but these things all started with Zhongshan Mental Hospital. Later, some people called this incident the Zhongshan Incident. Although some people destroyed the evidence in time, they still couldn't escape the punishment. Su Le lay on the bed, watching the news on TV in a daze. It was the latest development of the Zhongshan Incident. It is reported that the vice president of Zhongshan Mental Hospital, Hu Hai, took a drug and was in a daze. He crashed into a truck and died on the spot. This drug was used by Hu Hai to control the patients in the hospital. The specific ingredients are still being tested by the relevant departments. After Su Lu was taken away, because they didn't find her in time, Su Lu also took that drug. Her mental state was not normal now. Her eyes were cloudy and she stared at the news without blinking. No one knew what she was looking at. Outside the ward, the captain and a few team members stood and looked at the people inside. "Captain, can Xiao Lu be cured? She's still so young. We shouldn't have let her go in as a spy. She had a better future, but now..." Everyone was silent. Su Lu was the captain's junior sister and they had the same teacher. The captain should be the one who suffered the most. They had been following this case for a while, but there was no progress. Hu Hai and the group behind him did a good job of keeping it a secret. When Su Lu heard about this case, she took the initiative to go in as a spy, but the teacher and he didn't agree. In the end, Su Lu secretly used her connections to go in. Since things had come to this, they could only beat her at her own game. The captain retracted his gaze. "Who leaked the news that day? Have you found out?" That day, they suddenly received a message from Su Lu and wanted to meet. They used to exchange information through the people in the hospital. Su Lu suddenly wanted to meet, so something big must have happened. But when they arrived, there was only a crazy woman at the scene. Those people took Su Lu away before them. Someone must have leaked the news and knew that Su Lu was a spy. There are no clues. Xiao Lu can't explain anything. There was another silence. The captain sighed. "Let's go. There are still many things to deal with." The group looked into the ward and each of them looked regretful. Hu Hai was already dead. No one could understand his research. Also, this wasn't a poison that could be cured with an antidote. Su Lu hurt her brain nerves. The Zhongshan incident gradually came to an end. Because of this incident, the reputation of Zhongshan Hospital was greatly damaged. Many people took their patients away, and the hospital also paid a lot of compensation. Back then, those funds were all pulled in by Hu Hai. Without Hu Hai and his investors, Zhongshan Hospital was on the verge of collapse. The entire hospital seemed extremely desolate. Shi Shang sat in the corridor of the hospital and watched as the family members took the patients away. "And Qi." A tall figure stood in front of Shi Shang. "Oh, it's you." Shi Shang smiled ambiguously. "Are you leaving too?" Deng Jun carried some things in his hands and smiled bitterly. "Now that the hospital is in such a state, no one can stay here anymore." Deng Jun wasn't a kind person. The only reason he had warned Shi Shang back then was because she had saved his life. "What are you going to do in the future?" Deng Jun asked hesitantly. He heard that she didn't have a family. Shi Shang raised his chin. "Someone is going to take care of me." Deng Jun followed Shi Shang's gaze and saw Mu Li, who had changed into casual clothes, walking over from a distance. He wasn't wearing glasses, and the elegant aura he used to have was gone. All that was left was a sharp and fierce aura. So what they said was true. The hospital had heard that the relationship between the two of them was not simple. Shi Shang stood up from the corridor and waved at Deng Jun. "I'm leaving." Deng Jun also smiled and waved at her. Mu Li stood a few steps away and looked at him. Deng Jun felt a chill and an indescribable fear rise up in him for no reason. He watched as Mu Li put his arm around Shi Shang and kissed him on the forehead. Then, he led him out of the hospital. Deng Jun followed them out of the hospital. Mu Li's car was parked outside. He let Shi Shang get in first before he walked around the car and got into the driver's seat. That man gave him a completely different feeling when he was with her. Mu Li had never thought that the most difficult road he had anticipated would be passed so easily, and it was all because of her. Mooli looked sideways at the girl in the front passenger seat. And Chi, what do you want to do next? Well, I want to find my family. There was only one task left. Shishang looked at him sideways. You don't have to tell me. I can find out myself. I'm sorry. Of course you have to keep your promise. Shishang didn't mind. Mu Li's heart trembled. Sometimes, she was unreasonable. For example, she threatened him by jumping off a building. But sometimes, she was exceptionally comforting. She didn't force him to tell her just because they were together. He could tell her without hesitation. If she really wanted to know, he would definitely tell her. Are you in love with me? Shishang moved closer to him. Have sex with you? Huh? Mu Li's tone was a little strange. Shishang was speechless. His wife had become dirty. She even knew how to flirt with him. Why don't we go back and try? Have you recovered from your injury? It had been so long. A few days ago, he didn't have any reaction when she touched him. After enduring for so long, he could finally have sex with her. Shishang was very excited. Mu Li pushed her aside. Don't get too close to me. Why? Shishang stared at him. Mu Li's throat bobbed. His voice was a little hoarse. I'm afraid I won't be able to resist. Shishang rolled his eyes. Then don't resist. It's not like I won't let you sleep with me. Didn't you enjoy kissing me just now? Mu Li was helpless. I'm driving. They were on the road. He didn't want to die in a car accident. Shishang finally settled down and sat in the front passenger seat to play games. Mu Li looked at his cell phone and felt even more helpless. He should buy her a new one. Mu Li took Shishang to buy a new cell phone and computer. Sometimes, she needed to play games on the computer. There was nothing he could do but watch her play. You're pretty rich, aren't you? Shishang opened Mu Li's wallet. There were several cards and a lot of cash inside. Mu Li took out the cards and handed them to Shishang. There's not much money inside, but it should be enough for you to spend. Don't worry, the money I earn in the future will be yours. Is this considered keeping me? Are you willing to do it? Shishang put the cards back and patted Mu Li's chest. If you want to keep me, you'll have to pay at least 10 million yuan. Good luck. Mu Li was speechless. 10 million yuan. This goal was a little far away, but he would try his best. The staff at the counter looked at the two of them in confusion. Wasn't this girl a little too arrogant? If she said 10 million yuan, she would be worth as much as an A-list celebrity. Chapter 1134. After shopping, Mu Li put the things in the trunk. Shishang leaned against the car door and waited for him. And Zhou Ning was wearing a uniform and looked very dispirited. He walked over with a fierce look on his face. Ah, Officer Zhou, what a coincidence. Zhou Ning's expression was very bad. Unfortunately, there was a murder here. Don't tell me you sleepwalked here again? She was at every crime scene. It was hard not to arouse suspicion. Shishang looked around and saw the police cordon in a building at the corner of the street. Officer Zhou, what's the matter? Mu Li came from behind and touched Shishang's head. He said softly, Get in the car first. Why do you care what I do here? Do I have to report to you where I am? Shishang was not happy with the male lead. He opened the car door and said, Don't always think that I did it. Otherwise, you'll never catch the murderer in your life. The car door closed with a bang. Why does the male lead have to hold on to me? How do I look like a bad guy? You don't look like one. You are one. Shishang crossed his arms and leaned against the seat. But face, I have some unfortunate news for you. Do you want to hear it? Unfortunate? How unfortunate? Could it be more unfortunate than now? Go ahead. Shishang calmly took out her tablet and tapped on it a few times. After about 3 seconds, he tapped on it again. I'm so tired. Can't I even go online and offline freely now? Master, if you don't come back soon, the system will be changed beyond recognition. It will no longer be the system that you know. Forget it. Anyway, it will happen sooner or later. I'll just take it one step at a time. Oh, you're so calm? The system didn't roar. Did its character collapse? It wasn't the character that collapsed. It was the system that collapsed. It couldn't beat her, couldn't scold her, and couldn't even control its memory. What else could it do? It was desperate. As long as you're happy. Before its master came back, it would be better to be a system. It wouldn't be so arrogant in the future. But face, are you going to betray your master for glory? Shi Shang tried to coax the system. Host, don't even think about it. In my settings, my loyalty to master is 100%. Even if you destroy me, I will not betray master. The system was very resolute. Okay. Shi Shang took the tablet back. The system tried to go offline, and when it found that it could, it immediately went offline. When she didn't need to force him to log in and out, he should still be able to log in and out freely. While Shi Shang was talking nonsense with the system, Mu Li and Zhou Ning had finished their conversation. Zhou Ning glared at Mu Li unwillingly. When a person subconsciously decided on something, it would be very difficult to shift their focus. If Zhou Ning thought that Shi Shang was related to these cases, he would keep an eye on Shi Shang and miss a lot of clues. It was not Zhou Ning's fault. After all, Shi Shang's appearance was always so coincidental. It was so coincidental that it was hard to believe that she was not the murderer. Back home, Mu Li asked Shi Shang, who was slumped on the sofa without a care for his image. What do you want to eat tonight? Shi Shang turned around and listed a list of dishes without hesitation. Mu Li was speechless. She was really shameless. Didn't other girlfriends say things like, as long as it's made by you, you can do anything you want? Maybe he had a fake girlfriend. Mu Li rummaged through the fridge. I don't have enough ingredients. I'll go downstairs and buy some from the supermarket. I'll go with you. Shi Shang jumped up. I have to keep an eye on you in case someone else takes a fancy to you. Mu Li liked it when she stuck to him. Naturally, he would not reject her. There was a chain supermarket outside Mu Li's neighborhood. It was very well stocked. Mu Li bought the ingredients according to Shi Shang's list. Can you digest all the food you're eating tonight? Shi Shang threw snacks into the cart and answered casually, I'll only have strength when I'm full. Mu Li was speechless. It wasn't that he was thinking the wrong way. It was just that her words were wrong. Don't eat so much snacks. The food I make for you is more nutritious than these. Shi Shang looked at the cart and stopped throwing snacks. He pointed in a direction and said, Let's go over there and buy something. What do you want to buy? Shi Shang rolled his eyes. Something for girls, of course. Mu Li blushed. I'll wait for you at the checkout area. Shi Shang waved his hand and walked to the daily necessities section alone. There were fewer people here. She walked around and bought daily necessities and night necessities under the salesperson's recommendation. Shi Shang took the groceries and walked to the checkout area. After taking a few steps, she looked back. Why did she feel that someone was following her? Shi Shang took a few steps back. There were two girls dressed like students behind the shelves. They were discussing which brand to buy. The salesperson who had sold her the groceries was standing next to them. There was no one else. Shi Shang frowned and continued to take a few steps back. There was a man on the phone behind a shelf. He sounded angry. It seemed that he was quarreling with someone. Was it her imagination? Shi Shang took the groceries and found Mu Li. She did not feel that someone was following her. What are you thinking about? I feel that someone is following me. Shi Shang looked around. Everyone was doing their job. A few girls were pointing at Mu Li with blushing faces. There was no suspicious person at all. Let's go out and try, Mu Li said in a low voice. Mu Li paid the bill quickly and held Shi Shang's hand as they walked out of the supermarket. They slowed down and took a detour to the back gate of the neighborhood. It was more secluded here. If someone was following her, it would be easier to take action. However, they did not find anyone suspicious when they reached the back gate of the neighborhood. Mu Li touched Shi Shang's head. Don't think about it. Come with me when you go out next time. I don't need your protection. But I want to protect you. Mu Li pinched her cheeks. You're embarrassing me. Shi Shang hugged Mu Li's arm. Dr. Mu, please protect me. Then he calmly let go of him. Are you embarrassed now? Mu Li was speechless. My wife is different from other people's wives. What happened to being gentle, virtuous, and kind? Are you leaving or not? Are you going to stand here and celebrate the new year? Shi Shang had already walked to the front and was urging him impatiently. Mu Li sighed. Forget it. No matter what she was like, she was still her. There was a lot of food for dinner. Mu Li was afraid that Shi Shang would feel uncomfortable eating too much, so he made a small portion. However, there were many dishes and Shi Shang was still a little full. She rubbed her stomach and moved from the dining table to the sofa. She was about to lie down when Mu Li grabbed her. We just ate. Let's move around. Then give me a kiss. Mu Li was speechless. He felt like he was being taken advantage of all the time. Mu Li was afraid that Shi Shang would sit back down, so he kissed her cheek. Shi Shang then walked around the living room unwillingly. When Mu Li entered the kitchen, she immediately sat back down. Mu Li stuck half of his body out of the kitchen. And Shi Shang was speechless. Did he have eyes on the back of his head? Asking for Chinese Redbud flavored votes today. Don't ask me what Chinese Redbud flavor tastes like. I don't know either. Asking for votes every day. Cherub, Liang Ji, in the book review and comment section. Cherub, Shang, in the book review and comment section. Chapter 1135. Shi Shang and Mu Li stayed at home for a few days. Shi Shang could only leave the house after Mu Li had claimed all the benefits of being single for so many years. Mu Li wanted to earn money to support Shi Shang, so the two of them went their separate ways. Shi Shang found the professor named Hu Shu that Dr. Zhang had told him about. Hu Shu lived alone in an old residential building. His house was well kept. He was a professor after all, so his living conditions were not bad. The old man with white hair welcomed Shi Shang into the house. He looked surprised. And Qi, why are you here? Come in, come in. Did the hospital send you here? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? Shi Shang nodded politely. I came here on my own. I wanted to ask Professor Hu some questions. Hu Shu's expression froze. He suddenly sighed. You want to ask about your background, right? Can Professor Hu tell me? Hu Shu closed the door and walked to the sofa in the living room. He gestured for Shi Shang to take a seat before he turned around to make tea. After he was done, he sat opposite Shi Shang. Hu Shu was silent for a long time before he said seriously, Xiao Qi, it's better that you don't know about this. Shi Shang's voice was very calm. I want to know where I came from. Hu Shu sighed again. He got up and went to his bedroom. When he came out, he was holding an envelope in his hand. He held the envelope and hesitated for a long time before he handed it to Shi Shang. Your mother left this for you. She said that if you asked about it one day, I would give it to you. If you didn't ask about it, she would never let you know about it. Shi Shang took the envelope. There was only one piece of paper inside. Xiao Qi, I don't know if you will regain your memory. But since you saw this letter, it means that you want to know about your background. But I hope that you don't look for it. Just live your life like this and live a good life. Of course, that's what I want. I can't deprive you of the right to know the truth. If you must know, go and find Mu Chen. He will tell you everything. Live a good life. Love. Mom. The letter ended here. Mu Chen, Mu Li? What was their relationship? Hu Hai had said that Mu Li's surname was not Mu 7 years ago. Who is Mu Chen? Shi Shang asked Hu Shu. Hu Shu took out a few newspapers from under the coffee table and flipped through them. He flipped to the entertainment section and pointed at a man. He's Mu Chen. From the entertainment industry. This plot had really taken a turn. The Mu family. Hu Shu sighed. Shao Qi, I've watched your mother grow up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken such a big risk to keep you here. Your mother wants you to live well and not do anything stupid. I'll be alive. Shi Shang stood up. Thank you for telling me, Professor Hu. Hu Shu's eyes revealed a trace of helplessness. He knew that the girl in front of him would not listen to his advice. When Shi Shang found Mu Chen was filming an ancient drama. Although Mu Chen was not young anymore, he looked even more manly in the ancient drama than those little fresh meats. Mu Chen was very famous in the entertainment industry. He had already won the Best Actor award. This was a fighting scene. Mu Chen seemed to have practiced it before as he didn't use any body doubles. Mu Chen's scene was over very quickly. He was surrounded by his assistants. The assistant director came over from the director's side and spoke carefully. Brother Chen, thank you for your hard work. There are still a few scenes that need to be edited. Brother Chen, are you in a hurry? Mu Chen was a cold person. He didn't respond to the assistant director. His manager pulled the assistant director aside to talk to him. Mu Chen went back to the resting area and saw a girl sitting on his seat. He frowned. The assistant beside him felt the cold air and went forward to scold her. Are you a staff member here? This is Brother Chen's chair. How dare you sit on it? Get up. The girl raised her head. Mu Chen was stunned. He pulled the assistant back. Brother Chen. Go outside and watch, Mu Chen said. His voice was as cold as his appearance. The assistant's gaze swept between Shi Shang and Mu Chen as he muttered in his heart, Who is this girl? The assistant was afraid that Mu Chen would flip out. He was full of questions. He retreated outside to prevent the paparazzi from taking photos. Mu Chen walked to Shi Shang and looked down at him. Have you recovered your memory? No. Shi Shang shook his head. Mu Chen frowned. Then how did you find me? Shi Shang waved the letter in his hand. It was never difficult to talk to smart people. Give me a minute. Mu Chen turned around to call his assistant. He said something to him and left with Shi Shang. The assistant was dumbfounded. Brother Chen left with a girl. He really left. Mu Chen brought Shi Shang back to his apartment. Sit anywhere. What do you want to drink? Anything is fine. Shi Shang found a place to sit down. He didn't show any discomfort because he was in such a luxurious place. Mu Chen didn't find it strange. He took a drink from the fridge and placed it in front of Shi Shang. Aren't you afraid that I'll do something to you? Shi Shang smiled. What do you want to do to me? Mu Chen's cold face suddenly smiled. You should call me uncle. Shi Shang. Shi Shang compared himself to Mu Chen. There was no similarity at all. It seems that you really don't remember. Mu Chen sat opposite her. His body was very relaxed. That's right. The drug is very strong. It's a miracle that you can still think clearly. What do you want to know? You threw me into Zhongshan Mental Hospital? Sort of. Why? She wanted you to live. Shi Shang guessed that Mu Chen was talking about her mother. When Mu Chen talked about her, he suddenly became gentle. Do you mind telling me from the beginning? Mu Chen glanced at Shi Shang. Do you really want to know? Sometimes, knowing the truth is better than dying in the dark. Mu Chen pressed his fist against his lips. He was silent for a while, as if he was thinking about what to say. Shi Shang didn't rush him. The two of them sat quietly in the living room. It was as if there was no one else in the room. After a long while, Mu Chen spoke. 22 years ago, her mother and her father met in the business world. At that time, her mother was already a famous woman. She had a good family background, was beautiful, and was smart and talented. She was the woman that almost everyone in the circle wanted to marry. She was an only child. Marrying her meant marrying the company behind her. However, her mother was very arrogant. She didn't like anyone. At least, before she met her father, she didn't like anyone. However, after meeting her father, her mother suddenly fell in love. At that time, her father only wanted to get close to her because of the huge company behind her. He could get so much money just by marrying a woman. Which man wouldn't be tempted? Women in love were often blind. They couldn't see the people around them clearly. Her mother thought that the man really liked her. She ignored her family's objections and married into the Mu family. Chapter 1136. Because of her identity and the power behind her, she did live a good life for a period of time. But as she gradually handed over some of her power, things began to change. These things accumulated over a long period of time. When the host was 18 years old, a woman came to her house with 2 children. All the conflicts were triggered. The host's mother was put under house arrest. For the sake of the host, she had to hand over the company under her name. But the 2 illegitimate children couldn't stand the host. They got a drug from somewhere and injected it into the host. The drug was addictive and was similar to drugs. When the host was found, she had lost most of her memories. The host's mother begged her brother-in-law, who had always liked her, to take the host away. Mu Chen had never thought of fighting for the family property. He had been in the entertainment industry since he was young. Those who wanted to fight for the family property didn't care much about Mu Chen, the youngest young master. But it wasn't easy for Mu Chen to take the host away. The host's mother seemed to have transferred something to the host's name. Because of this, the host's father kept a close watch on her. In the end, the host's mother helped him to take her away. He spent a long time avoiding the Mu family's eyes and settled her down. But when he came back, the host's mother was dead. At the same time, an illegitimate child was also dead. To put it bluntly, it was a feud between rich and powerful families. The host was just an unlucky person. She became the fruit of a marriage that used love as a scam. What did she leave for me? Since the Mu family cared so much about it, it must not be something simple. I don't know. It should be related to the Fu family. In these years, he hasn't completely taken over your mother's company. Fu was the surname of the host's mother. Mu Chen paused. She is smart. She won't really hand over the important things. You are her only child. She must have left it to you. If you never remember it, no one will know about it. The Fu family will donate all their money to charity. They can fake it and say that I am dead. The things under my name will naturally return to their hands. Mu Chen looked at her. If you are dead, those things will also be donated. No one will get it. Shi Shang pondered for a moment. Now the host's identity was almost clear. The host only asked her to find out her identity. She didn't ask her to help her counterattack. So the mission ended here. Shi Shang stood up. Thank you for telling me. Mu Chen was stunned for a moment before he stopped Shi Shang. Aren't you going to ask anything else? Is there anything else you want to ask? She already knew what she needed to know. Mu Chen. In order to avoid being found out by the Mu family, he never went to see her, nor did he ask about her. He didn't expect that after not seeing her for so many years, she had developed such a character. Don't you want to know what your mother left you? Not interested. Other than money and power, these things were easy for her. There was nothing to fight for. Mu Chen looked at Shi Shang strangely, as if he was trying to figure out if she really didn't care or if she was just pretending. Then, I wish you good luck. Since she had already come out, how could she stay out of trouble? Ding-ling. The doorbell suddenly rang. Mu Chen got up to open the door and saw the man standing outside. Why are you here? What about her? Mu Chen understood and let him in. Are you afraid that I'll do something to her? Mu Li walked in with a dark face. He heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Shi Shang standing there unscathed. Shi Shang was surprised. "Why are you here?" "I'm worried about you." When he saw that the paparazzi had taken pictures of her and Mu Chen together on Weibo, he immediately put down what he was doing and rushed over. Mu Chen crossed his arms and looked at Shi Shang and Mu Li. "She's a child after all. I won't do anything to her." "But Mu Li, it seems that you haven't fulfilled your promise to me." "She's safe now." Mu Chen snorted. "Is that so?" Mu Li's gaze was firm. "I'll protect her." Mu Chen raised his hand. "Anyway, I was being nosy. You can leave. From now on, we're even." Mu Li immediately brought Shi Shang outside. Mu Chen didn't stop them. Mu Chen sighed after the two disappeared from his sight. "I really can't bring myself to do it. Is it because she's your child?" Outside the villa, Mu Li stuffed Shi Shang into the car and quickly started the car. The villa area behind them gradually disappeared. Mu Li's voice slowly sounded. "Mu Chen asked me to take you away. He didn't say what his motive was. He only asked me to find a safe place for you. I owe him a favor and I have to return it to him." Mu Li didn't know the relationship between Mu Chen and her. He was too lazy to ask. As long as he did this well, he would have returned the favor and could enter the hospital smoothly. But he didn't expect that he would fall in love with her. Shi Shang added, "He had a motive for pursuing me, but he gave it up later. There's something wrong with him." Mu Chen wasn't as open-minded as he appeared to be. He wasn't after power. On the contrary, he hid his ambitions so deep that no one noticed it. This kind of person was very scary when he fought back. He probably really liked the mother of the original owner. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given up such a good opportunity. To Shi Shang, there was definitely something wrong with her to give up such a good opportunity. If there was a day where you had to choose between Feng Ci and something else important to you, what would you choose? The system suddenly popped up to ask. Why would I choose? Give me an example. There's no if. I won't put him in danger. Host, you'll be at a disadvantage if you're so arrogant. Who didn't have accidents in life? Shi Shang snorted. You can try. Very good. So arrogant and conceited. As expected of its host. Mu Li was very worried about her. He didn't go out for the next few days and stayed at home to accompany her. It was as if he was afraid that something would happen to her if he turned around. In the end, Shi Shang saw that he was impatient and chased him out. This guy kept hovering in front of her. She couldn't even concentrate on playing games. Mu Li came back on time every day. He would only be early and never late. But in return, his time was reduced. He could only wait until Shi Shang went to bed every day before going to the study to continue his unfinished work. Shi Shang didn't go out for the next few days. But every time she went out, she could feel that someone was following her. Shi Shang deliberately chose a night to go out for a walk. He deliberately went to a remote place. Looking around, it was a good place to fight. Shi Shang rolled up his sleeves. Come out. The people who were following her didn't expect this. After a while, they walked out from the shadows. There were a total of 3 people. One of them stood at the front and nodded at Shi Shang. Miss, sir invites you home. Home? What home? The Mu family. Chapter 1137. At the Mu residence. Mu Bai was sitting in the living room. Beside him was a boy of about 18 or 19 years old. He had a delicate face and was sizing Mu Bai up. The adoration in his eyes gave Mu Bai goosebumps. He was a gentleman with a normal sexual orientation. Besides, both of their surnames were Mu. Who knows, we might have been a family a few hundred years ago. Mu Bai ignored the boy's gaze and looked at the middle-aged man opposite him. The middle-aged man's face darkened and he seemed to be deep in thought. After about a minute he said, Mr. Mu, can you really help me get the thing? As long as you can help me, I will naturally help you. Mu Bai nodded slightly. No matter what kind of appearance he had, he could always act like a noble and gentlemanly gentleman. It was amazing. "Daddy, what are you still thinking about? Promise Brother Moo." The boy suddenly sat beside the middle-aged man and shook his hand coquettishly. Seriously, Moo Bai's heart was broken when he saw such a big boy acting coquettishly. He would rather see that crazy Shi Sheng. "Don't mess around." The middle-aged man scolded the boy, but his eyes were full of love. Daddy, with the help of the boy's coquettishness, the middle-aged man finally agreed to Moo Bai's request. After the matter was settled, Moo Bai immediately walked out. Before he could walk out, he heard a voice calling out, "Brother Moo! Brother Moo, your uncle." Moo Bai walked even faster, but the girl behind him did not give up at all. She chased him out of the door and finally caught up with him after some distance. "Brother Moo, why are you walking so fast? I can't even catch up with you." "I'm not your brother." Moo Bai pulled away from the boy. "I have something to do. Second young master, please stay." The boy grabbed Moo Bai's arm and his eyes flashed with a strange light. "Brother Moo, let me treat you to a meal." Moo Bai felt a chill. He knew this person's fetish. He did not want to be drugged and then, it was too scary. Moo Bai pulled his arm away and his aura suddenly became strong. "Second young master, please go back. Don't bother me anymore. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Moo Bai took the opportunity to leave while the boy was still in shock. He kept looking back and saw that no one was chasing after him. He then heaved a sigh of relief. Before he could relax, he saw the person standing on the path opposite him. He almost choked to death. "It's over. How is this woman so fast?" His plan was going to be ruined before it even started. Moo Bai turned around and ran. The iron sword suddenly fell from the sky and blocked his path. Moo Bai's body stiffened as he stood rooted to the ground. "Calm down. Calm down." He couldn't lose face. Moo Bai took a deep breath and restrained the malevolence on his face. He turned around and smiled elegantly and gently, looking like a true gentleman. "Miss Shi Sheng." Shi Sheng walked over from afar and looked at him with a faint smile. "You have good luck with women." The smile on Moo Bai's face froze. "Miss Shi Sheng, you must be joking." He would never admit that a man had taken a fancy to him. Shi Sheng's smile deepened. She waved her hand in the air, and the iron sword flew from behind Moo Bai and landed in her hand. Shi Sheng swung his iron sword at Moo Bai. Moo Bai's eyes widened. "Wait, why aren't you following the script again? You were asking questions just now. Why aren't you asking anything now?" Moo Bai dodged the iron sword awkwardly. She was too fast and every move was aimed at his life. He didn't even have time to kill himself. What a ruthless woman. She didn't even let him kill himself. Moo Bai steeled himself and looked at the trajectory of the iron sword. He should have dodged it, but he suddenly charged forward and the iron sword pierced through his abdomen. Moo Bai held the iron sword and met Shi Sheng's gaze. He smiled maliciously. "Do you think you can stop me like this?" He would be back. If he didn't kill her, his name wouldn't be Moo Bai. Shi Sheng laughed along with him and spun the iron sword 360 degrees. "I really hope you can come back. After all, fighting with you is much more interesting than fighting with those little cheese." Moo Bai's face was already pale. After being teased by Shi Sheng, he looked even paler. What do you mean?" Moo Bai lowered his head and looked at the iron sword in his hand. "What did you do?" Shi Sheng slowly pulled the sword out. "It seems like you don't know me well enough. This sword is called Soul Snatcher. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before." "Iron sword. I don't have such a messy name. Master, please don't change my name again. Thank you very much." Without the support of the iron sword, Moo Bai fell to his knees. He clutched his abdomen with one hand and supported himself with the other. "Bull*T, your sword. Whether I'm Bull*Ting or not, you'll know soon enough." Moo Bai wanted to say something, but he knew there was no time. A large amount of white light appeared in front of him and he lost consciousness in the blink of an eye. Ah, Shi Shang, you little b****, just you wait. He wouldn't die just like that. Shi Shang looked at the lifeless Mu Bai and his eyes darkened. He wasn't sure if it would work. But if he didn't try, who knew if it would work? The Mu family was ready, but Mu Bai suddenly died. The Mu family was dumbfounded. He was so confident just now. How could he just die like that? This was too casual. While the Mu family was still in a daze, someone sent an invitation to a banquet in a few days. The invitation was from An-Chi. An-Chi. Papa Mu slammed the invitation on the table. The people standing opposite him didn't even dare to breathe. They lost contact with the people he sent. Mu Bai, who was so confident before, suddenly died. No matter how one looked at it, this was all very unusual. Sir, are we going? Papa Mu sneered. Of course, why not? I want to see what she's up to. The banquet was held in the biggest hotel in the city. The invited guests were from all the major media outlets and business circles. Shi Shang didn't know how she could invite all these people. She couldn't, but some people could. She just needed to get those people to come. Needless to say, with so many people gathered together, something big was going to happen. Only a fool wouldn't come. Everyone present started to exchange information. What's going on? Have you heard any rumors? No. We just received an invitation suddenly. It's from the higher-ups. How could we not come? I don't know what's going on. It's so mysterious. Why are there so many reporters over there? Could it be that there's something to announce? I don't know. I'll go and ask. The person who said this was someone he knew. He went over and asked a few questions. Then he came back helplessly. They don't know either. The higher-ups asked them to come. Everyone looked at each other for a moment. They didn't know what was going on. Then, they could only wait and see what was going on. Papa Mu listened to their discussion and finally realized that these people were invited by the higher-ups. But he wasn't. He was invited by An-Chi. Papa Mu started to imagine all kinds of scenarios in his head. He was worried that she had found someone to back her up. Mu Bai. Why is it me again? Why? Why? Chapter 1138. Almost everyone had arrived, but no one went up to the stage to host the banquet. The crowd could only guess what was going on. Suddenly, a girl jumped down from the stage. Someone had seen her enter the banquet hall. She was dressed casually and looked out of place in the banquet hall. The girl tapped on the microphone and held it in her hand. I invited everyone here today to be a witness. What? Who is she? What witness? No one knew who she was, and the crowd started to suspect that they had been tricked. After all, the person who invited them did not even show his face. Shi Shang did not care about the crowd's discussion. She continued to speak. I will donate everything to establish the Jasmine Charity Foundation. After she finished speaking, the entire banquet hall became quiet. Everyone's gazes landed on Shi Shang. There was disbelief, shock, surprise. All sorts of gazes as they sized up the young lady standing on the stage. Was she talking about the Fu family? Everyone in the Fu family was dead. However, the only heir of the Fu family, the husband of the Mu family, did not officially announce that he was going to take over the Fu family. Everyone had heard about the grudges between them. The daughter of the Fu family had also disappeared a few years ago. While everyone was still in shock, the girl on the stage spoke again. So, those who are still thinking about the Fu family, please stop. I have signed the contract. The law is now in effect. It's useless for you to hold on to me. Don't come looking for me again. Otherwise, don't blame me for taking action against the Mu family. She was not interested in the Mu family. She also did not want to avenge the previous owner of the body. She had already fulfilled the previous owner's last wish. She did not care about these things. She did this just to get rid of the Mu family. If she did not stand up for them, they would continue to pester her. She would have to spend time tormenting them. Compared to tormenting them, she would rather torment Mu Li. Now that she had donated everything, no one would get anything. Shi Shang's donation was transparent. It proved that she did not leave anything behind. Papa Mu did not expect Shi Shang to do this. He thought that she had found someone to rely on and wanted to show off. Who would have thought that she would donate all those things right in front of him? Shi Shang jumped down from the stage and swaggered away. When she reached the door, she suddenly looked in a direction and waved her hand. "Thanks, boss." The boss in the cubicle. "I don't want to see you anymore. Get lost." Mu Chen stood in the corner and looked at Shi Shang's back as he left. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he muttered, "Your daughter is very impressive." Indeed, the Mu family did not look for Shi Shang again, but Zhou Ning did. Someone had seen Shi Shang in the vicinity because of Mu Bai's death. Shi Shang lured Zhou Ning to a secluded place and beat him up. If Mu Li had not appeared in time, Zhou Ning would have been beaten to death by Shi Shang. Zhou Ning had a few unsolved cases on his hands. Because he was distracted during work, he almost killed his teammates. It was understandable if he made one mistake, but if he kept making mistakes, Zhou Ning was suspended. Zhou Ning was obsessed with Shi Shang and always felt that she was the murderer. After he was suspended, he followed Shi Shang several times. Shi Shang immediately called the police. Zhou Ning was probably traumatized after being taken away by his former colleagues. It was impossible for him to go back to work now. After a period of treatment, Su Lu was sent to a mental hospital. Her condition was not very stable and she was often in a muddle-headed state. This time, she did not have to pretend to be a psychopath. She was a psychopath. Shi Shang did not see her again, but he saw her on the news one day. Su Lu had jumped off a building. She died on the spot. "Why are you watching this?" Mu Li turned off the TV and stuffed the laptop into her arms. "Go play games in your room. Don't disturb me." Shi Shang held the laptop and looked at Mu Li in confusion. "How am I disturbing you?" "She did not do anything, okay?" "You are disturbing me by being here." Mu Li pinched her face. "With you here, I don't want to work anymore. I just want to." He leaned closer to Shi Shang and said 2 words in her ear. "Then don't work anymore. I have money." Shi Shang moved closer and Mu Li quickly let go of the laptop in his hand. If she did that, he would have to start all over again. Mu Li wrapped his arms around Shi Shang's waist and lifted her up. He kissed her pink lips. When they were both panting, Mu Li let go of her. "No way. If I don't work, how can I support you? Your starting price is so high. I have to work hard. I can give you a discount." Shi Shang looked serious. Mu Li laughed and coaxed her softly. "Stop fooling around. Be good and stay here. I'll be done soon." Shi Shang moved out of his arms and sat on the floor. She leaned against his legs and turned on the laptop. Mu Li's voice suddenly rang out. "You're not allowed to look at those things." She was a girl. Why did she look at those unhealthy things all day long? What was so good about other people? Wasn't it enough for him to show her all day long? Shi Shang's hand trembled as she opened a website. She closed the website that she had just opened. "You're so nosy." If she couldn't look at spiritual food, then she would dig a hole. Many people in this world were cheated again. As usual, they were willing to be cheated. In this life, Mu Li lived a long and healthy life. He died of natural causes. Shi Shang had sent him away many times. She knew that some things were changing, but she didn't want to stop it. Humans just wanted to be happy. After Mu Li closed his eyes, Shi Shang took off the watch on his wrist. She held his hand and kissed it. "Wait for me." Shi Shang returned to the system space and stared at the screen thoughtfully. She looked normal and didn't seem to be out of the ordinary. What is the host up to now? Why is her gaze so terrifyingly calm? But face, let me ask you something. Shi Shang sat cross-legged in front of the screen and rested her chin on her hands. Go ahead. I'm so scared that the host will ask me strange questions. No, you're the butt face. I told you not to call me butt face. Then I'm called de Guzzi? Goodbye, host. I refuse to answer your questions. The system began to scan the information. Name, Shi Shang. Moral points, 365,000 health points. 55 points. 73,400, 400 points deducted from purchasing items. Mission grade. B mission score. 92 hidden mission. Completed hidden mission reward. 2,000 points side mission. Completed side mission reward. 5,000 points. Shi Shang only glanced at it and continued the previous topic. But face, let me ask you, under what circumstances can I choose my own world? I knew the host wouldn't ask a good question. Host, stop dreaming. The world is randomly assigned. Shi Shang sneered disdainfully. Do you think I'll believe that? If you don't believe me, then why are you asking me? The system won't serve you anymore. No matter what Shi Shang asked, the system didn't say anything. Shi Shang studied for a long time. The system just wanted to kick her out. The system finally heard her mention the next world. It began to teleport. Teleportation begins. Asterisk the 33rd world ended. Hashtag today's marigold votes. Hashtag daily monthly votes. Hashtag check if you have any monthly votes in your pocket. Hashtag. Chapter 1139. Everyone knew that Qi Li was the most powerful man in the realm of the gods. Asterisk cold. Shi Shang had never felt so cold before. She was surrounded by cold air and couldn't move at all. Shi Shang didn't know how long it took her to open her eyes. She was curled up in a small space. It was so dark that she couldn't see anything. Her skin was in contact with the cold air, which kept seeping into her body. It was very uncomfortable. Where did this stupid system leave I this time? But face, we really need to have a good talk about life. It's so cold. Shi Shang sniffed and tried to sense the spiritual qi around her. There was no spiritual qi at all, but there was obviously spiritual qi in her body. What's going on? Shi Shang tried to use her spiritual qi, but she felt her body heating up in the next second, as if she was about to be burned. Damn. Hot one moment and cold the next. What's going on? The burning sensation was getting stronger and stronger. She couldn't feel the cold anymore. She could only feel a terrible heat burning her body. Where's I's sword? This place was too small. She couldn't pull out her sword at all. Damn, do I have to go offline directly this time? The burning sensation lasted for about half a minute, and then it was cold again. Sometimes it was hot, sometimes it was cold. Shi Shang couldn't stand it at all. The two different temperatures were fighting for territory in her body. Half of her skin was burning hot and glowing red, while the other half was frozen into ice. It kept eroding the hot parts. Shi Shang was confused. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't dare to move. He had to find a way out first. She was curled up like a baby. This space was so small that it made her hair stand on end. It was crazy. She felt around and filtered the useful information in her mind. It was ice. It was so cold. It had to be at least 10,000 years old. There was spiritual qi in her body. It was either the cultivation realm or the Xuanhuan realm. After figuring out where she was, she felt a little relieved. It didn't matter if it was the cultivation realm or the Xuanhuan realm, it wouldn't be so easy to die. Asterisk flips table asterisk which idiot is so wicked as to seal me in ice? When I get out, I'll kill this idiot. Shi Shang gritted his teeth and scolded the unknown murderer. Then he took out a night-luminescent pearl from his space, and other things appeared one after another. Her body was sometimes hot and sometimes cold. Her movements were very slow, but in the end, she used her blood to draw an array in the space she tried her best to squeeze out. I'm depending on you. If I can't go out, I can only die and start over again. I won't die so easily. Sher Shang took a deep breath and began to circulate the remaining spiritual energy in his body. Sher Shang's spiritual energy seemed to shrink back when it came into contact with the cold and hot energies. He was unable to gather his spiritual energy even after a long time. F***CK. This time, the heavens really want me dead. No, as a veteran player, I can't allow such a stain to exist. I don't believe it. Sher Shang held his breath and gathered the spiritual power in one go. He quickly gathered it into his palm and sent it to the array. The light of the array flickered and was extinguished in the blink of an eye, leaving only the faint light of the luminous pearl. The surroundings were so quiet that only the sound of Sher Shang's breathing could be heard. Sher Shang. But face, how do I die faster? Why do I feel like gloating? No, calm down, calm down. I can't let the host find out. But I can't calm down at all. How can I break out into laughter? Serves you right. You acted tough and now you've received your retribution. Ha ha ha. The system tried hard to maintain its cold image. After a while, it said in a stern voice, "Host, the fastest way to die is to slit your throat. Friendly reminder. You can't enter this world after death." What? Can't you change your identity? You locked me up in here. I'm not a villain if I don't report it. I must report it. No, I repeat, this is not a game. You can't start over after you die. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is not a game. Important things must be said 3 times. Trash. Sher Shang's voice was a little hoarse. It sounded a little strange in this small space. You're not trash. If you're not trash, then get out. The system won't serve you anymore. Bye. The system went silent in an instant. Sher Shang. Buttface's temper is getting worse. Damn. The hot and cold feeling came again. Sher Shang gritted her teeth and endured. She tried the formation again. This time, it was better. The formation lit up for 3 seconds. And then it went out. Sher Shang was desperate. As a master at acting tough, how can I be so sullen? I can't. I have to get out. I have to defend my acting tough. Sher Shang waited for the hot and cold to simmer down. Then he continued to take things out. He cut his finger again. Wait, this hand. Sher Shang raised his hand under the luminous pearl. A pair of white and tender hands with some baby fat. The shape of the hand is quite nice. Flips table. Nice my foot. This is a damn child's hand. It can't be more than 12 years old. She dared to bet with the iron sword. Iron sword. Why am I being attacked again? Sher Shang looked at the hand and continued to cut it. What kind of stupid plane is this? Buttface is getting more and more careless. He only knows how to trick I. Sher Shang angrily used his blood to add some strange symbols to the array just now. When she injected her spiritual energy again, the first thing that lit up were the symbols. The symbols quickly connected to form an array, and the light suddenly grew brighter. The array that was covered by the symbols also lit up when the light shone. Sher Shang curled up his body and tried to stick himself to the ice wall behind him. His body was covered with talismans. This thing was going to explode. There was a 50% chance that she would be killed by the explosion. She would die a horrible death. She would be blown into pieces and disappear in the wind. She would go with the wind. Bah, now was not the time to be artistic. She had to draw her sword the moment this place exploded. She had less than a second. If she couldn't do it, she would have to go to the next plane. Sher Shang stared at the array. The array was getting brighter and brighter. The space she was in was filled with white light. She couldn't see anything. It was so bright that she could barely open her eyes. Suddenly, the light seemed to be sucked away by a black hole. Her surroundings dimmed. Sher Shang saw darkness for a moment. The next second, boom, the iron sword appeared in an instant and rushed out of the fire. Sher Shang lay on it. The hem of his clothes had been set on fire and was burning rapidly. Sher Shang cut off the hem of his clothes. When the second wave of heat came from below, he let the iron sword fly higher. Phew! You scared me to death. I almost died. I'm so beautiful. How could I die so easily? It's not that easy to play I to death. The explosion below lasted for a long time. Sher Shang lay on the iron sword to catch her breath. She was very tired. She felt like all the bones in her body had been crushed. She wanted to kill someone to calm down. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.